Chapter 799. Chapter 799 Inch Great. The Dragon Demon did not disappoint everyone. After going berserk, its cultivation reached mid-stage manifestation realm. That's too terrifying. A mid-stage manifestation realm demonic beast can appear in the regional king city. I wouldn't have dared to imagine it a month ago. That's right. In the past month, Realm King City has undergone earth-shattering changes. There are a lot of Yin-Yang Realm Warriors, and there are also quite a number of half-step Creation Realm Warriors. Even the intermediate and advanced Creation Realm Warriors have emerged in batches. After a period of time, Regional King City will probably be able to contend with the capital. If Ningyu could guess the berserk state of the Dragon Demon, the surrounding martial artists would naturally be able to guess it as well. The surrounding martial artists were not concerned about how long the Dragon Demon could last. What they cared about was how long it would take for the Dragon Demon to kill Ningyu. What's so great about a mid-stage manifestation realm? The Dark Emperor glanced at the Dragon Demon and snorted coldly. There are at least 10 mid-stage manifestation realm demonic beasts that died in my hands. Stop bragging. Stand down first. Leave this Dragon Demon to me. Ningyu waved his hand and interrupted the Dark Emperor, saying indifferently, after going berserk, the strength of the Dragon Demon is comparable to a late-stage manifestation realm. Unless you advance to early-stage manifestation realm, don't even think about fighting it. But the Dark Emperor wanted to argue a little more. However, when he saw Ningyu's expression, he immediately gave up and retreated behind Ningyu obediently. Roar. After going berserk, the Dragon Demon roared into the sky and appeared in front of Ningyu in an instant. The Dragon Demon used its not-so-big hoof to kick Ningyu's head fiercely. Kick that lad's head. Good job, Dragon Demon. Quick, kick him in the head. Ningyu automatically filtered out the discussions that reached his ears. Unknowingly, a blood-red flying sword appeared in Ningyu's hand. Swash. Looking at the Dragon Demon charging over, Ningyu raised the sword in his hand and slashed. Gotcha! A crisp sound rang out in the Colosseum. Voila! Soon after, all the martial artists in the arena stood up from their seat. Everyone's eyes widened and their faces were filled with confusion. Drip, drip. Ningyu stood in the middle of the arena with a blood-red flying sword in his hand. There was still some blood dripping from the tip of the sword. Roar. Not far from Ningyu, the front leg of the demonic dragon was mercilessly chopped off. The demonic dragon beast let out a deafening roar as its aura plummeted. The middle stage of the manifestation realm, the peak of the early stage of the manifestation realm, the half-step manifestation realm, the peak of the Yin-Yang realm, the Yuan Dan realm. In a short period of time, the demonic dragon beast's aura dropped from the manifestation middle stage to the Yuan Dan stage. Obviously, the berserk demonic dragon did not cause any harm to Ningyu. On the contrary, the demonic dragon was severely injured. Although Ningyu did not kill it immediately, the Dark Emperor did not think so. The Dark Emperor dashed out and arrived beside the demonic dragon in the blink of an eye. Whoosh! The Dark Emperor's attack was ruthless. Before the crowd could react, he had already killed the demonic dragon beast and started devouring it in front of so many people. What the f***ck? Seeing the Dark Emperor's actions, Ningyu cursed out loud. The Dark Emperor is too unreliable. Even if you want to devour it, you don't have to be so brazen. This is clearly a provocation. Forget it. I'll deal with it when it comes. This is the Colosseum after all. Casualties are unavoidable. Ningyu slowly shook his head and murmured. Anything could happen in the Colosseum. If there was a battle, there would be casualties. No one could avoid it. Trash, so the demonic dragon beast is trash. Yeah, I lost 1,000,000 pieces of supreme-grade yuan crystals for nothing. If I had known, I wouldn't have bet on the Colosseum. If I had known, I would have bet on that kid. The payout is 100. If I had known earlier, my ass. If I had known earlier, you wouldn't have stayed here. The death of the demonic dragon beast caused a huge uproar in the Colosseum. Everyone was discussing and they were very dissatisfied. It's definitely a conspiracy. I beg the Colosseum to come out and give us an explanation. Some people even started to claim that there was a conspiracy. Obviously, the words that claimed that there was a conspiracy resonated with many people. Crack crack. In a certain room, Qiu Jian clenched his fists so hard that they made cracking sounds. Qiu Jian did not care about the words of those arrogant people. What he cared about was the fact that the demonic dragon beast was killed by Ningyu. After going berserk, the strength of the demonic dragon beast was close to the late-stage manifestation realm. Even the demonic dragon beast of this strength was no match for Ningyu. One could imagine how terrifying Ningyu's strength was. Qiujian, even the demonic dragon beast is no match for that kid. It seems that the middle stage manifestation realm old man you arranged is no match for that kid either, Su Jia said with a frown. I know. Qiujian's face was gloomy and he seemed to be making a decision. After a while, Qiujian finally made up his mind and said in a deep voice, when necessary, I'll make that kid pay the price. You mean you're going to do that? Su Jia's expression changed slightly as he said in surprise. That's right. Let's wait and see. If that kid only defeated the demonic dragon beast because he had a trump card, I don't need to do that, Qiujian nodded and said. All right, let's wait and see. Su Jian took a deep breath and shifted his gaze to the Colosseum. At this moment, the Dark Emperor had already devoured the demonic dragon beast at the center of the Colosseum. On the surface, the Dark Emperor's cultivation level was still the same. There was no improvement. However, the Dark Emperor knew very well that he had devoured the extremely thin bloodline of the demonic dragon beast, and his overall strength had increased by 0.1%. It was better than nothing. Ningyu, leave these two half-step manifestation realm martial artists to me. I've found the feeling. After devouring the demonic dragon beast, the Dark Emperor said, they're just two half-step manifestation realm martial artists. I only need 3 minutes to kill them all. Are you sure you can kill them all in 3 minutes? Ningyu hesitated. Of course. I, the Dark Emperor, keep my word, the Dark Emperor said proudly. Ningyu did not say anything and walked forward step by step. Ningyu only stopped when he was very close to the half-step manifestation realm old man. After stopping, Ningyu said calmly, stop pretending. You can't hide yourself in front of me. Boom. Hearing Ningyu's words, the half-step manifestation realm old man's aura suddenly rose. 1 second. In just 1 second, the half-step manifestation realm old man recovered his true cultivation level. Middle stage manifestation realm. I guessed right. Sensing the fleeting aura of the middle stage manifestation realm old man, Ningyu's mouth opened slightly. It turned out that Ningyu had guessed that they were from the Corpsine sect, but it was just a guess. Now, through the familiar aura that the middle stage manifestation realm old man exuded, Ningyu could easily determine that they were from the Corpsine sect. Chapter 800. Flying away, Ningyu, I've thought about it. I think I should leave these two martial artists to you. Sensing the old man's aura, the Dark Emperor swallowed his saliva and said, after all, I was the one who killed the demon dragon. I have to leave something for you. Otherwise, it won't be right. The Dark Emperor was not a fool. He was only at the half-step manifestation realm. His overall strength could indeed fight against a mid-stage manifestation realm martial artist. However, it was more difficult to kill a mid-stage manifestation realm martial artist within a short period of time. At the very least, he could forget about killing a mid-stage manifestation realm martial artist within 3 minutes. Sai, you have to think before you do anything in the future. Ningyu sighed and said, this mainland is extremely dangerous. A little carelessness and you'll die a horrible death. Now is not the time for you to talk nonsense. Not everyone was convinced by Ningyu's teachings. The middle stage manifestation realm elder was one of the people who did not buy it. To the mid-stage manifestation realm old man, the reason why Ningyu could defeat the demon dragon was because of the blood-red flying sword in his hand. As long as Ningyu was not allowed to use the flying sword, he would definitely win. Brat, if you're capable, let's decide life and death with one palm strike. The mid-stage manifestation realm old man berated, I'll let you die knowing. Remember, my name is Zhou Liang. Zhou Liang? I've never heard of him, but deciding life and death with one palm strike can save us a lot of trouble. I agree. Ningyu did not reject. He agreed to Zhou Liang's suggestion and put away the red fiend sword. Zhou Liang was only at the mid-stage manifestation realm. In a one-on-one fight, Ningyu was not afraid of him in terms of vitality. Straightforward, take my palm strike. Seeing that Ningyu agreed, Zhou Liang stomped his feet and charged forward. Zhou Liang clenched his right fist and punched straight at Ningyu's heart. Reverse palm. Just as the fist was about to reach Ningyu, Zhou Liang suddenly changed his fist into a palm and punched at Ningyu. Good timing. Ningyu let out a low growl in the face of the palm that contained violent yuan qi, and a similarly terrifying yuan qi appeared on his wrist. On the surface, the essence on Ningyu's wrist and the essence on Zhou Liang's palm were about the same. Both parties were evenly matched. However, some warriors with profound cultivation could still discover that the essence on Ningyu's wrist was slightly superior. But that was all. If Ningyu wanted to rely on the extra vitality on his wrist to defeat Zhou Liang, there was only one word to describe it. Dream on. Life and death palm. Ningyu had no intention of holding back against Zhou Liang. Zhang Xian flicked his wrist and pushed his palm forward. Pa! In the next instant, the two palms collided and a muffled sound rang out. Humph! I'll let you taste the power of corpse yin qi. Zhou Liang snorted, and the corpse yin qi in his body instantly gathered on his palm, rushing towards Ningyu's palm with all his might. Fortunately, I'm prepared. Ningyu's lips curled up, as though he already knew what Zhou Liang was going to do. The azure spirit fire in Ningyu's body quietly appeared on his palm. Furthermore, Ningyu gathered his peak grade 6th grade soul force on his wrist, wanting to deal a fatal blow to Zhou Liang. Trying to burn my corpse yin qi with the mystical flame? How naive! Looking at the dancing flame on Ningyu's palm, Zhou Liang said in a sinister tone, my corpse yin qi is of high quality, and it's not too far from dead spirit qi. What? However, before Zhou Liang could finish his sentence, his eyes widened, and a horrified expression surfaced on his face. TSK. Zhou Liang realized that the corpse yin qi on his palm had just come into contact with Ningyu's mystical flame, and it decreased rapidly. What's going on? Zhou Liang hurriedly split his perception to check, and at the same time, increased the amount of vitality he injected. However, no matter how much Zhou Liang checked, he could not find the problem. In the end, Zhou Liang saw that his corpse yin qi was decreasing, and he could not help but scold Ningyu. What did you do to me? I didn't do anything to you, Ningyu said indifferently. My mystical flame is rather special, and it just happens to restrain your qi. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Unless it's the top 200 flames on the mystical flame ranking, there's no other flame that can restrain my qi. Zhou Liang shouted hysterically. Oh right, we're enemies, right? It seems like I don't need to answer your question. Ningyu shrugged and said, although your cultivation base is in the middle stage of manifestation, you don't have any advantage in front of me, because the density of my vitality is not any lower than yours. Since that's the case, I'll show you what's. Zhou Liang snorted coldly. Just as he wanted to show Ningyu what real strength was, he spat out a mouthful of blood. The sudden change caused the martial artists around the Colosseum to be dumbfounded. At the beginning, when the demonic dragon beast went berserk to the middle stage of manifestation, everyone had high hope. When the demonic dragon beast died, everyone's hopes fell to rock bottom. When Zhou Liang recovered to the middle stage of manifestation, everyone's hopes that fell to rock bottom were once again reignited. Now that Zhou Liang spat out a mouthful of blood and his aura weakened, everyone's hopes once again fell to rock bottom. The roller coaster change caused everyone to be completely dumbfounded. As the person involved, the expression on Zhou Liang's face could be said to be the most interesting one. Impossible, this is absolutely impossible. Zhou Liang lowered his head and looked at the corpse Yin Qi that had disappeared from his wrist. He could not help but mumble the word impossible. Zhou Liang, it's time for you to sacrifice yourself for the corpse Yin sect. Suddenly, a low voice sounded in Zhou Liang's mind. Hearing the voice in his mind, Zhou Liang was stunned at first, then a determined look appeared on his face. I know what to do. Zhou Liang took a deep breath and replied in his heart. Then, a terrifying light burst out from Zhou Liang's eyes as he stared at Ning Yu and said, Brat, I admit that you're very strong, but no matter how strong you are today, you won't be able to escape death. After saying this, Zhou Liang's body began to swell. The speed at which Zhou Liang's body expanded was very, very fast. Almost in an instant, Zhou Liang's body doubled in size. Not good, it's self-destruction. Seeing Zhou Liang's state, no matter how stupid Ning Yu was, he could guess that Zhou Liang was going to self-destruct. The power of a middle-stage manifestation martial artist's self-destruction was enough to destroy heaven and earth. Go to hell. Ning Yu kicked Zhou Liang's stomach, sending him flying far away. Go! Then, Ning Yu glanced at the Dark Emperor and rushed out of the Colosseum. No matter how courageous Ning Yu was, he would not dare to take the self-destruction of a middle-stage manifestation martial artist. If he took it head-on, he would not be courageous, but stupid, a fool. Bang! However, just as Ning Yu rushed to the edge of the Colosseum, he was repelled by a transparent light barrier. Damn it, it's a protective barrier. Looking at the transparent light barrier in front of him, Ning Yu's expression was very ugly. At this critical moment, a light barrier actually appeared to block his path. According to Ning Yu's judgment, he would need at least 3 to 4 minutes to break the light barrier. Chapter 801. Head smashed, I'll do it. A solemn expression appeared on the Dark Emperor's face. Not only did Ning Yu know that Zhou Liang would self-destruct in a minute, the Dark Emperor knew it too. Once Zhou Liang self-destructed, the consequences would be unimaginable. Do what? Can you hold Zhou Liang back? Ning Yu said angrily. I know I can't hold Zhou Liang back, but I can kill him, the Dark Emperor said in a deep voice. You want to kill me? Ha ha ha, to tell you the truth, I'll stand here and let you kill me. If you dare to kill me, I'll self-destruct immediately. Hearing the conversation between the Dark Emperor and Ning Yu, Zhou Liang laughed heartily. Voila! Zhou Liang's words caused the expressions of everyone outside the Colosseum to change. Self-destruct. Initially, no one knew that Zhou Liang was going to self-destruct. Now that Zhou Liang said it himself, even the stupidest person knew that it was not safe to stay here. Hence, everyone outside the Colosseum stood up and left. All of a sudden, the scene was extremely chaotic. Everyone, calm down. At this moment, Qiu Jian tore the void and appeared above the Colosseum. Qiu Jian spoke with a bit of primordial qi so that everyone could hear him clearly. The Colosseum's protective shield was set up by a peak powerhouse. Even a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist won't be able to break it, let alone a mid-stage manifestation realm martial artist. At this moment, Qiu Jian naturally had to speak on the positive side. It was fine if Zhou Liang self-destructed, but it would be a huge loss if it affected the Colosseum's reputation. Actually, Qiu Jian knew the protective shield very well. The self-destruction of a mid-stage manifestation realm martial artist was very powerful. The protective shield around the Colosseum would definitely not be able to withstand it. We believe in the Colosseum. That's right, something like this has happened in the past, But the Colosseum has dealt with it well. Everyone, let's wait for the battle to end. As long as the battle is over, we'll ask the Colosseum to compensate us. Buzz buzz. Su Jia appeared beside Qiu Jian. The first thing Su Jia said was very solemn. Qiu Jian, we have to think of something. Otherwise, many people will die if the protective shield is broken. Don't worry, we'll just stop them when the time comes. Qiu Jian did not care about the possible consequences of Zhou Liang's self-destruction. Although Qiu Jian didn't have any reaction on the surface, he had already calculated it in secret. Ningyu in the Colosseum was the first line of defense. In order to survive, Ningyu would definitely do his best to resist Zhou Liang's self-destruction. The protective barrier of the Colosseum was the second line of defense. After passing through the first two lines of defense, the power of Zhou Liang's self-destruction would be greatly reduced. At that time, as long as he and Su Jia acted to stop them, everything would fall into place. That being said, we won't be able to force Ningyu's secrets out of him, Su Jia said with a frown. That makes sense. Qiu Jian fell into deep thought. After a long while, Qiu Jian said, let's do it this way. I'll go to the Colosseum to meet Ningyu. At the same time, you seal the protective cover so that the people in the Colosseum can't see what's happening inside. But Zhou Liang self-destructed, Su Jia said hesitantly. Don't worry, I'll let Zhou Liang delay his self-destruction. Qiu Jian waved his hand, then his body merged into the void and disappeared in an instant. After Qiu Jian disappeared, Su Jia flicked his sleeves, and in an instant, the protective cover turned from transparent to white. The change in the protective cover caused an uproar in the crowd. What's going on? I don't know. Did the protective cover fail? Zhou Liang hasn't self-destructed yet. How could the protective cover fail? Everyone, calm down. This is the second form of the protective cover, and it's also the final form. Hearing the crowd's discussion, Su Jia used the Great Deception skill and said loudly, in this form, even a martial artist in the advanced stage of the creation realm won't be able to destroy it. Needless to say, Su Jia's Great Deception skill was not weak. Hearing his words, everyone quieted down and quietly waited for Zhou Liang to self-destruct. Swoosh. At the same time, in the Colosseum, Qiu Jian tore the void and appeared beside Zhou Liang. Qiu Jian patted Zhou Liang's shoulder and said, control yourself. Don't self-destruct without my permission. At that moment, Zhou Liang could no longer speak. He could only nod slightly in reply to Qiu Jian. Clap, clap, clap. Qiu Jian was very satisfied with Zhou Liang's nod. He turned around and walked toward Ningyu. As he walked, he clapped his hands and said, Kid, you've really impressed me. I'll give you a chance to live now. Take out all your magic treasures. Well, you also have to tell me your secret. Otherwise, I'll let you know what cruelty is. I've known what cruelty is a long time ago. Ningyu frowned and asked doubtfully, I'm very curious. You're so strong, why are you willing to come to a place like the Dixia Kingdom? The Dixia Kingdom is a good place. There are many secrets to discover. Qiu Jian smiled. Suddenly, Ningyu changed the topic and asked, by the way, you should be from the headquarters of the Corpse Yin sect, right? Qiu Jian curled his lips and said, do you think that the branch of the Corpse Yin sect in the Dixia Kingdom has a heaven-defying genius like me? The Corpse Yin sect in the Dixia Kingdom does not have a heaven-defying genius like you. Even their sovereign's corpse art is only at the late stage of the manifestation realm. Ningyu said lightly. You know about the corpse art. Could it be that you're Ningyu? Hearing Ningyu's words, a hint of joy appeared on Qiu Jian's face. The reason why Qiu Jian came to the Dixia Kingdom was because the Dixia Kingdom was indeed very special. On the other hand, it was because the sovereign of the Corpse Yin sect in the Dixia Kingdom was killed by the corpse art. They came here to investigate. Qiu Jian only knew that the corpse art was killed by Ningyu. As for Ningyu's appearance, He didn't pay much attention to it. After all, in Qiu Jian's view, the corpse art was just an embroidered pillow. Now that he heard Ningyu mention the corpse art, Qiu Jian naturally thought of Ningyu. I am indeed Ningyu. Ningyu didn't hide his identity at all and said, if I didn't guess wrongly, you should be at the half-step manifestation realm. Are you not afraid that I will take you down? Ah! Qiu Jian seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. He looked up to the sky and laughed wildly before saying in a sinister tone, the ignorant are truly fearless. A newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. You are a late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist. Aren't you ashamed to say such words to me? What's there to be ashamed about? It's not like I haven't killed a peak-stage manifestation realm martial artist before. You are only at the half-step manifestation realm. What is there to be arrogant about? Ningyu was still as calm as before. Sigh, what is going on in this world? Qiu Jian sighed softly as a look of pity appeared on his face. Chapter 802. Semi-finished product. Actually, you are very stupid. Ningyu looked at Qiu Jian like he was looking at an idiot and said indifferently, if you hadn't entered the bestial battle arena and allowed Zhou Liang to self-destruct, you could have even used this opportunity to kill me. Unfortunately, you personally entered the bestial battle arena and gave me a chance. I gave you a chance? Qiu Jian raised his brows and said sinisterly, the ignorant are fearless. Since you still think that your strength is very formidable, then I'll let you know what true formidable strength is. Qiu Jian didn't want to waste too much time. His idea was very simple. Severely injuring Ningyu, then using the corpse sex secret technique to steal Ningyu's memories. Therefore, Qiu Jianshuang stepped on the ground and rushed out in an instant. Looking at the oncoming Qiu Jian, Ningyu took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, come out. Voila! As soon as Ningyu's words fell, two huge creatures rushed out of the storage ring. Roar! Roar! The two behemoths roared at the sky and stopped in front of Ningyu. What's going on? I think I heard the roars of demonic beasts? I heard it too. It came from the Colosseum. Could it be that the demonic dragon has come back to life? Impossible. According to my observation, it should be the other two demonic beasts. The roars of the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast caused the people outside the arena to reveal suspicious expressions as they discussed spiritedly. Su Jia had already sealed off the Colosseum, so outsiders couldn't see what was happening inside. Although they couldn't see what was happening in the bestial battle arena, they could tell how terrifying the demonic beasts were from the two earth-shattering roars. It's actually two early-stage manifestation realm demonic beasts. The one who was most shocked was Qiu Jian. Qiu Jian's body stopped abruptly when he saw the two early-stage creation realm demonic beasts that suddenly appeared. His cultivation was half a step to the manifestation realm, and his overall strength was very strong. He could even easily kill a martial artist in the later stage of the manifestation realm. However, the two early-stage manifestation demonic beasts in front of him were not pushovers. Their combined strength should be very strong. Ningyu, I didn't expect you to have two early-stage manifestation demonic beasts by your side. However, if you think that you can defeat me with just the two of them, I regret to tell you that you are too naive. Qiu Jian said in a deep voice. Wrong. Ningyu flatly denied Qiu Jian's words and said indifferently, the one who defeated you was not them, but me. You? You want to defeat me? Ah! Qiu Jian laughed loudly. Silver-winged dragon, twin-horned beast, go control Zhou Liang. Ningyu couldn't be bothered to waste time with Qiu Jian. He first sent a mental message to Silverwing Wyrm and the others, then with a flick of his wrist, the red demon blade appeared in his hand. With the red demon sword in hand, Ningyu charged out in the blink of an eye. Good timing! Qiu Jian's eyes flashed with a terrifying light. A cold light shot out from his sleeve and blasted towards Ningyu. Chi! Ningyu waved the red demon sword and easily split the cold light shot out by Qiu Jian into two. Subsequently, Ningyu and Qiu Jian started fighting. In terms of cultivation, Ningyu was 2 small levels lower than Qiu Jian. However, in terms of vitality, Ningyu was not any weaker than Qiu Jian. In addition, Ningyu was wielding the Emperor's Stage Red Demon Sword. For a moment, Ningyu and Qiu Jian were actually tied. Bang! On this side, Qiu Jian and Ningyu were tied. On the other side, Zhou Liang was not having it so good. Originally, Zhou Liang was going to self-destruct. However, Qiu Jian asked him to prolong the time, so he could only suppress the restless vitality in his body. Unexpectedly, Silverwing Wyrm and Twin Horned Beast appeared in the air and easily controlled him. Damn it! Seeing that Zhou Liang was controlled from the corner of his eye, Qiu Jian cursed. He immediately forced back Ningyu with a move and flew towards the sky above the arena. After Zhou Liang was controlled, Qiu Jian knew that the initiative was already in Ningyu's hands. Although if the battle dragged on, Ningyu would definitely be killed by him. However, if Ningyu was driven to desperation and made Zhou Liang self-destruct, the consequences would be unimaginable. Qiu Jian felt that his status was more honorable than Ningyu. He did not want to do something that would cause both sides to suffer. Besides, this was the arena, his territory. As long as he left the arena first, he had 100 ways to toy Ningyu to death. Want to leave? How could Ningyu waste such a rare opportunity to kill Qiu Jian? Seeing that Qiu Jian was flying towards the sky above the arena, Ningyu wielded the red demon sword and slashed out a shocking sword wave. Solitaire! The sword wave appeared like a bolt of lightning and arrived beside Qiu Jian in an instant. Whoosh! Fortunately, Qiu Jian dodged slightly at the critical moment. Otherwise, this solitaire that Ningyu slashed out would be enough to kill Qiu Jian. You forced me to do this. Qiu Jian's expression was gloomy. He gritted his teeth and made a difficult decision. Crack! Qiu Jian directly broke a finger and threw it into the void in front of him. After throwing his finger into the void, Qiu Jian uttered a sinister sentence. Good partner, come out and fight alongside me. Crack, 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 crack. In the next moment, the void split again. A martial artist who looked like Qiu Jian appeared from the void. Younger twin brother? Seeing the martial artist standing beside Qiu Jian, Ningyu frowned. Wrong. Qiu Jian said coldly, this is a corpse puppet that I refined. His original body is a martial artist at the peak of the creation realm. After 2 years of refinement, his strength is already infinitely close to the half-step supremacy realm. 3 days, just 3 days more and I can refine his strength to the half-step supremacy realm. You messed everything up. In order to reward you, I've decided to let him devour you. Hearing Qiu Jian's cold words, coupled with the powerful aura emitted by the corpse puppet beside Qiu Jian, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. Although he was a little shocked, Ningyu still maintained a calm expression on his face. He said calmly, it's infinitely close to the half-step Supreme Being realm. In other words, it hasn't reached the half-step Supreme Being realm yet. I've even killed a half-step Supreme Being Dan puppet before, let alone a peak manifestation realm corpse puppet. Arrogant and conceited. Attack. Qiu Jian pointed at Ningyu and scolded. Swoosh. The corpse puppet listened to Qiu Jian's words. It instantly merged into the void and appeared beside Ningyu. 1 second later, the corpse puppet raised its arm and smashed towards Ningyu's head. Although the corpse puppet that Qiu Jian refined had a cultivation of the peak of the creation realm and was infinitely close to the half-step supremacy realm, this corpse puppet had a fatal flaw. A semi-finished product. In other words, this corpse puppet's attack method was relatively simple, and it had not mastered the corpse puppet's exclusive attack method. I'll let you have a taste of the red demon sword's power. Facing the charging corpse puppet, Ningyu did not retreat. Instead, he took the initiative to attack and slashed at the corpse puppet's arm. Crack! A clear and melodious voice resounded in the beast-fighting arena. Bang! What happened next left Qiu Jian dumbfounded. Chapter 803. Exclamations. Could this be a monarch flying sword? Qiu Jian stared at the red fiend sword in Ning Yu's hand and exclaimed. The corpse puppet that Qiu Jian had refined was at the peak of the manifestation realm when it was alive. After 2 years of refinement by Qiu Jian, the corpse puppet's body was extremely tough. An ordinary monarch flying sword could not sever its arm at all. The fact that Ning Yu could use the red flying sword to sever the corpse puppet's arm was enough to show that the red flying sword's grade was very high. It had even reached the terrifying monarch level. You guessed right. This flying sword is a monarch flying sword. Ning Yu rushed out again after he severed the corpse puppet's arm. Ning Yu was no fool. He knew that this was the best opportunity to defeat the corpse puppet. If he missed this opportunity, he would not get another one. Therefore, the primordial qi in Ning Yu's sea of consciousness surged and infused into the red fiend's sword. Swoosh! The red fiend's sword slashed at the corpse puppet's neck. Come back! Qiu Jian's expression changed drastically as he hurriedly controlled the corpse puppet to fly back to him. The corpse puppet was Qiu Jian's blood and sweat. He definitely did not want the corpse puppet to die here. In order to save the corpse puppet, Qiu Jian gathered all his primordial qi on his wrist and punched at Ning Yu. Rumble! The huge fist radiance attacked Ning Yu at an extremely shocking speed, forcing Ning Yu to change direction and use the red fiend's sword to block the fist radiance. Solitaire! Ning Yu withdrew the red fiend's sword and slashed out a sword wave with a wave of his wrist. Chi-chi! The sword wave and the fist radiance collided and both dissipated. On the other side, the corpse puppet had already returned to Qiu Jian's side. Ning Yu, we will meet again. Qiu Jian glared at Ning Yu fiercely before tearing the void and disappearing in an instant. Ning Yu, we can't let him leave just like that. The Dark Emperor bellowed when he saw Qiu Jian disappear. Don't worry, he can't escape. The corners of Ning Yu's mouth rose, and his body also became illusory. Bang! In the next instant, a figure was forcefully blasted out of the void. Poochie! Dark red blood spurted out and the figure's face was deathly pale, without any trace of blood. Ning Yu, don't think I'm afraid of you. Qiu Jian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and a bright light burst forth from his eyes as he said coldly, If you force me into a corner, I'll cut you into pieces even if I have to sacrifice my corpse puppet. You want to chop me into pieces? Ning Yu didn't care about Qiu Jian's threat at all. He said indifferently, Unfortunately, I'm afraid you won't be able to cut me into pieces in this lifetime. Really? The corner of Qiu Jian's mouth rose as he regained his composure and said, Do you really think that those two useless demonic beasts can really control Zhouliang? What do you mean? Ning Yu faintly felt that something was wrong and asked in a low voice. Ha ha ha, Zhouliang, I'll give you 3 seconds to self-destruct. Qiu Jian laughed arrogantly. Ning Yu, we can't control Zhouliang. Zhouliang will self-destruct in 3 seconds. Right at this moment, the silver-winged dragon's anxious voice sounded in Ning Yu's ears. Damn it! At this moment, there were only 2 choices left for Ning Yu. First, stop Qiu Jian. In that case, they would all have to bear Zhouliang's self-destruction. Second, find a way to break the light barrier above the arena within 3 seconds. After cursing in his heart, Ning Yu pondered for a second. After a second of consideration, Ning Yu chose the first option. He would stop Qiu Jian and bear Zhouliang's self-destruction together. Dark Emperor, Furball, Silver-Winged Dragon, Twin-Horned Beast, the 4 of you enter the storage ring and inject your energy into my body later. Ning Yu hurriedly instructed before tearing through the void and arriving at Qiu Jian's side. Go to hell. Qiu Jian threw out a punch, wanting to use this punch to force Ning Yu back. However, Ning Yu was already prepared. He easily dodged Qiu Jian's attack and said, We'll bear Zhouliang's self-destruction together. Damn it! Qiu Jian's expression was very ugly, and he even cursed loudly. After cursing, Qiu Jian could only sit down cross-legged and gather the vital energy in his body around him, forming a vital energy barrier to resist the power of Zhou Liang's self-destruction. As for Ningyu, he went to the other side, and a vital energy barrier also appeared around him. Relatively speaking, the defensive power of the vital energy barrier around Ningyu's body was much stronger. After all, the Dark Emperor and the others were still in the storage ring. Ningyu was not resisting alone. Qiu Jian was not so lucky, and he could only rely on his own vital energy to resist. Rumble! Zhou Yang's body expanded to a certain extent before exploding. The self-destruction of a mid-stage manifestation realm martial artist was extremely terrifying. With Zhou Liang as the center, the terrifying shockwave spread out in all directions. Ningyu and Qiu Jian were the closest to the center of the explosion, so they were the first to be affected by the shockwave. Ningyu's own vital energy was very vigorous, and with the help of the Dark Emperor and the others, he was able to forcefully block the shockwave of Zhou Liang's self-destruction. Although Qiu Jian also blocked the shockwave of Zhou Liang's explosion, compared to Ningyu, his situation was much more serious. Not only did Qiu Jian spit out a few mouthfuls of blood, but his aura also dropped to the freezing point. A lamb waiting to be slaughtered. The current Qiu Jian was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered, lying on the ground like a dead dog. Swoosh! The Dark Emperor suddenly rushed out of the storage ring and charged at Qiu Jian at an extremely shocking speed. To the Dark Emperor, although Qiu Jian was only half-step manifestation realm, a mosquito was still meat, and it could more or less increase its strength by devouring it. At the same time, everyone outside the Colosseum suffered varying degrees of injuries. Fortunately, Ningyu and Qiu Jian acted as the first line of defense and blocked most of the shockwave of Zhou Liang's explosion. The protective barrier outside the Colosseum acted as the second protective barrier and also blocked most of the shockwave. Otherwise, everyone outside the Colosseum would not just be injured, they might even all die. He really self-destructed. Su Jiao was half-step manifestation realm, and his strength was comparable to Qiu Jian's. The shockwave of Zhou Liang's self-destruction passed through several lines of defense, and when it reached him, it was already very weak. As a half-step manifestation realm martial artist, it was not difficult for him to block it. Su Jia stared at the Colosseum square that was surrounded by fog and murmured, "I wonder if Qiu Jian managed to force out the secrets on that kid." Su Jia's focus was also whether Qiu Jian could force out the secrets on Ningyu. Su Jia was not worried about Qiu Jian's safety at all. After all, in Su Jia's opinion, Qiu Jian would definitely be fine. "Let me help." In order to see the situation in the Colosseum earlier, Su Jia waved his hand, and in an instant, a gust of vital qi swept out, blowing away all the fog above the Colosseum. How is this possible? After the fog dispersed, Su Jia's eyes widened, and his face was filled with shock. This was because there was only one martial artist standing in the center of the Colosseum. This martial artist was not Qiu Jian, whom Su Jia was familiar with, but Ningyu. "Where's Qiu Jian?" Su Jia was a little confused. Chapter 804. Depart. What's going on? Who won? There's only that kid in the bestial battle arena. Could it be that he won? That shouldn't be possible. That brat's cultivation is so low. How could he withstand the self-destruction of a martial artist in the intermediate stage of the Fate realm? After a brief silence, the Colosseum instantly erupted into a flurry of discussion. The focus of everyone's discussion was whether Ningyu had won or not. Ahem. Just as everyone was discussing, a faint cough caught everyone's attention. Everyone looked over, only to see Ningyu coughing dryly at the center of the plaza. He said indifferently, "For the first match, I've already killed the 2 men and 1 beast sent by the beast battle arena. Voila!" Ning Yu's words were absolutely shocking to the extreme. 2 humans and 1 beast were killed by Ning Yu in the bestial battle arena. Didn't that mean that Ning Yu won this match? Oh my god. If I had known earlier, I would have bet on this kid. The odds are 1 to 100. It's over, it's completely over. I've lost all my wealth. It seems like I can only eat dirt from now on. You still have dirt to eat? Not only did I lose all my essence crystals, I even borrowed 1,000,000 top-grade essence crystals. Right, I remember that someone bet on this kid's victory, and he bet an entire 100,000 king-grade origin crystals. Whoosh! The last martial artist's words made everyone outside the beast battle arena completely dumbfounded. F***CK 100,000 royal grade essence crystals, 1 to 100, that was a full 10 million royal grade essence crystals. How could the Colosseum afford such a huge amount of crystals? It seemed like only the backer of the Colosseum, the Zhao family, would be able to compensate so many royal grade essence crystals. Otherwise, even if the Colosseum squeezed dry, it still wouldn't be able to afford it. The outcome is obvious. Ning Yu's gaze landed on Su Jia as he said indifferently, "If there's nothing else, I think I can announce the results." Su Jia's expression was gloomy and uncertain. He was still trying to find a way to contact Qiu Jian. However, no matter how hard Su Jia tried, he could not contact Qiu Jian. There was no news at all. Could Qiu Jian have been killed? Suddenly, Su Jia thought of a possibility. Qiu Jian had entered the Colosseum a few minutes ago, but there was still no news from him. It was very likely that he had encountered a mishap. Su Jia sent a mental message to Ning Yu, "Where's Qiu Jian? What did you do to Qiu Jian? Are you sure you're talking to me?" Ning Yu extended his palm and pointed at his nose. He said indifferently, "If the Beast Battle Arena doesn't want to compensate me 10 million royal grade essence crystals, you can say it openly. There's no need to be sneaky." Humph! How could the Bestial Battle Arena not be able to afford a mere 10 million royal grade origin crystals? Su Jia snorted coldly. "You have a total of 100 matches. This is only the first match. After the 100 matches, it won't be too late to settle the score between you and the arena. Haha, in that case, you want to embezzle my 10 million royal grade origin crystals." Ning Yu's expression gradually darkened. "Cut the crap. Let's clear this round." Swoosh! Ning Yu suddenly leaped up, suspended in front of Su Jia, and said in a deep voice, "Hand over 10 million royal grade origin crystals. I said before, it's impossible that the Bestial Battle Arena can't afford it. If you don't want to participate in the remaining 99 matches, I'm very sorry. I won't give you a single piece of essence crystal." Su Jia appeared very tough and firm. He was not affected by Ning Yu in the slightest. And? Su Jia's answer made Ning Yu a little surprised. Where in the world did Su Jia get the courage to dare talk to him like this? One had to know that Su Jia's strength was only on par with Qiu Jian. Could it be that he thought he could kill him? Thinking up to here, Ning Yu could not help but separate a wisp of perception to probe the surroundings of the Beast Battle Arena. Hiss! Suddenly, Ning Yu sucked in a cold breath, his expression becoming abnormally solemn. So that's how it is. Ning Yu finally knew where Su Jia's courage came from. In the void there was a trace of peak creation realm aura. This is a little difficult. Ning Yu fell into contemplation. With his current strength, facing a peak creation realm martial artist, there was basically not much possibility of winning. Unless he raised his cultivation to peak yin-yang realm, only then would there be a possibility of contending with a peak creation realm martial artist. Thinking up to here, Ning Yu said without batting an eyelid, "A mere 10 million pieces of royal grade essence crystals, just take it as my gift to the Beast Battle Arena. The remaining 99 matches, drop it here." Following that, Ning Yu directly tore the void and disappeared in an instant. Ning Yu leaving so suavely made everyone in the Beast Battle Arena dumbfounded. That was 10 million pieces of royal-grade essence crystals. Ningyu did not want it just because he said he did not want it? F***ck, what a nouveau riche, not even wanting 10 million pieces of royal-grade essence crystals. Nouveau riche my ass. In my opinion, he's a divine nouveau riche, a well-deserved divine nouveau riche. Right. A divine nouveau riche, definitely a divine nouveau riche. Sigh, what a pity. We bet on the Beast Battle Arena to win and lost a lot of essence crystals for nothing. Everyone's discussions made Su Jia's expression very ugly. Although everyone was saying that Ningyu was a divine nouveau riche, Su Jia was very clear that everyone's underlying meaning was saying that the Beast Battle Arena was stingy. If someone dared to express this kind of meaning a few days ago, Su Jia would definitely fly into a rage. Now, what Su Jia was concerned about was not everyone's thoughts, but Qiu Jian's life and death. Elder Zhu Su, did Qiu Jian? Su Jia stared at a certain spot in the void and asked. I can't sense Qiu Jian's aura here. A majestic voice came out of the void, interrupting Su Jia's words and said, That kid isn't simple. You immediately send someone, no, you follow that kid personally. As long as he wants to leave World King City, inform me right away. Elder Zhu Su, how long more do you need to exit seclusion? Su Jia said with a frown. At least 1 day, at most 3 days. The voice in the void said again, Once I refine that thing, my strength will have a qualitative improvement. Qualitative improvement? Could it be that you can advance to half-step Supreme Realm? Su Jia said in surprise. How can it be that easy? What I mean is, as long as I refine that thing, even if 3 or 4 peak creation realm martial artists join hands, I can easily defeat them too. The voice in the void gradually fell silent. As for Su Jia, his body also merged into the void, vanishing instantly. Ningyu, when at the Beast Battle Arena, why didn't you ask for 10 million royal-grade essence crystals? After coming out of the Beast Battle Arena, Ningyu did not leave World King City right away. Instead, he strolled around World King City Street. At this time, the Dark Emperor grumbled, Give me all 10 million royal-grade essence crystals, and my cultivation can even advance to initial stage creation realm. Do you think that 10 million royal-grade essence crystals are so easy to ask for? Ningyu stopped in front of a large hall and said coolly, Before strength reaches a certain level, rashly asking for 10 million royal-grade essence crystals is undoubtedly courting death. Finished saying this sentence, Ningyu entered the hall without looking back. 4 large words were written on the hall's plaque. Chapter 805. Chapter 805. Qingqi, the Realm King City's Alchemy Union, was second only to the capital's Alchemy Union. There were many hidden dragons and crouching tigers. There were even rumors that the president of the Realm King City's Alchemy Union was not only highly skilled in alchemy, but also extremely powerful. Of course, these were all rumors and had no way to verify them. In a certain alley outside the Alchemy Union, 2 martial artists appeared. If Ningyu was here, he would definitely notice that he had seen one of them before. It was Su Jia from the Bestial Battle Arena. At this moment, the other martial artist was reporting something to Su Jia. Inform the vice president of the Alchemy Union. Let him test that kid first. After hearing the other martial artist's report, Su Jia said, No matter what, I have to know that kid's true identity. Yes. The other martial artist responded, and his body gradually turned illusory. The Great Xia Kingdom can't have such a heaven-defying genius. I wonder where he came from. Blood God Palace, Supreme 9 Purities Temple, or 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion. Su Jia took a deep breath, and his body also turned illusory, disappearing in an instant. Ningyu didn't attract anyone's attention when he entered the Alchemy Union. There were many people in the Alchemy Union, and there was nothing special about Ningyu. Naturally, he didn't attract anyone's attention. In comparison, the Dark Emperor was much better. After all, he was a dog. If a dog swaggered into the Alchemy Union, more or less people would pay attention. Look, that black dog is a little special. Special? How is it special? Why do I feel that it is just a normal black dog? It shouldn't be normal. I felt a trace of terrifying aura from it. Crash. The last martial artist's words caused a commotion. One had to know that the last martial artist was at the peak of the Yuan Dan realm. An aura that could make a peak Yuan Dan realm martial artist feel fear was at least at the yin-yang realm. If a dog was at the yin-yang realm, didn't that mean they were inferior to dogs? Whether it is the yin-yang realm or not, we will know once we try. In the Alchemy Union, a martial artist at the early stage of the yin-yang realm said, "I don't believe this black dog can also have." Everyone, please be quiet. Before the early stage yin-yang stage martial artist could finish his words, a low voice came from the second floor of the Alchemy Union. After that, an old man in gray clothes slowly appeared before everyone's eyes. It's the vice president of the Alchemist Association, Qing Qi. Why did Qing Qi come out? I'm not sure. Since Qing Qi told us to be quiet, it means that he has something to announce. At the side, Ningyu frowned slightly. From everyone's reaction, Ningyu could tell that this Vice President Qing Qi's prestige in everyone's hearts was quite high. Actually, what caught Ningyu's attention was not how high Qing Qi's prestige was in everyone's hearts, but because Qing Qi's perception lingered on him for a second. After pondering for a moment, Ningyu finally decided to wait and see. After all, Ningyu did not know much about the situation in the Alchemy Union, so he decided to take a look first. This old man is only half a step to the manifestation realm. Why is he so arrogant? The Dark Emperor was a thorn. Moreover, Qing Qi's perception had also lingered on him for a second. Don't cause trouble for me. Ningyu felt that he had to teach the Dark Emperor a lesson. Otherwise, based on the Dark Emperor's personality, he would definitely clash with Qing Qi here. As long as he doesn't provoke me, I definitely won't provoke him. The Dark Emperor curled his lips and said no more. Although Qing Qi's cultivation is only half a step to the manifestation realm, his soul power is extremely strong. At the very least, it's at the peak of the 7th grade. It might even reach the 8th grade. Ningyu stared at Qing Qi in the crowd and muttered. In the crowd, Qing Qi raised his right hand and slowly pressed it down. Later, I will take out an elixir formula and choose 10 alchemists. Among the 10 alchemists, whoever can refine the elixir according to the elixir formula. At this point, Qing Qi paused for a moment before looking around and continuing, I will give him a chance. Whoosh. Qing Qi's words caused the originally quiet Alchemy Union to become noisy again. Qing Qi was the vice president of the Alchemy Union. His cultivation base was half a step to the manifestation realm, and he was a peak 7th grade alchemist. How great would the chance that he would give out be? Swoosh. This time, before the crowd could discuss, Qing Qi waved his sleeve and took out a sheepskin elixir formula. Qing Qi threw the elixir formula on the second floor of the Alchemy Union and looked around again. He said in a low voice, You, and you. The 10 of you can go to the second floor to look at the elixir formula. Then, you can choose whether to continue or give up based on your own situation. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The people chosen by Qing Qi all flew to the second floor in a flash. Qing Qi did not look at the 10 people who flew to the second floor. Instead, he pushed through the crowd and slowly walked towards Ningyu. A moment later, Qing Qi stood beside Ningyu and smiled. How should I address you, friend? Hearing Qing Qi's words, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. However, on the surface, he did not show it and said, Ningyu. Ningyu? Qing Qi frowned slightly and muttered, I seem to have heard this name somewhere before. After thinking for a while, Qing Qi continued, Ningyu, according to my observation, in the Alchemy Union's main hall, other than me, your soul force should be the strongest. Swoosh. Originally, the crowd only paid a little attention to Ningyu. Now that Qingqi said this, the crowd's gaze uniformly shifted to Ningyu. His soul force is the strongest? Why didn't I notice? That's right. In my opinion, his soul force is only at the 3rd grade. Your judgment is not accurate. His soul force is at least at the 4th grade. Not the 4th grade, but the 5th grade. Although the crowd's evaluation of Ningyu was getting higher and higher, the crowd was not optimistic about Ningyu. In the Alchemy Union, there were many older generation alchemists. Among these older generation alchemists, there were even some whose soul force had reached the middle stage of the 6th grade. Moreover, among the 10 alchemists on the 2nd floor, the lowest soul force was at the early stage of the 6th grade. There was even one whose soul force had reached the early stage of the 7th grade. There was only one feeling that Ningyu gave everyone, and that was vagueness. At first glance, Ningyu's soul force seemed to be at the 3rd grade. But after a closer look, it seemed to be at the 4th grade. Looking at it again, his soul force had reached the 5th grade. Ningyu, I wonder if you can do me the honor of sparring with those people? The crowd's reaction made Qingqi very satisfied. He pointed at the 10 alchemists on the 2nd floor and said, Since the vice president has invited me, it would be a little unreasonable for me to refuse. Ningyu did not reject. Instead, he rose from the ground and flew to the 2nd floor of the Alchemy Union. Woof woof. Chapter 806. Chapter 806. Immortal Pill. As expected of a Yin-Yang realm black dog, it has quite a temper. Seeing the Dark Emperor's actions, the surrounding martial artists thought the same thing. A Yin-Yang realm black dog was indeed a rare animal in regional King City. At the very least, the people in regional King City had never seen a Yin-Yang realm black dog before. Everyone, don't be discouraged. This kind of event will be held every once in a while. Qingqi said in a clear voice, I will give an opportunity to the alchemist who refines the elixir this time. The next alchemist who refines the elixir might be given an opportunity by the president. Swish. The news that Qingqi threw out was simply too heavy. The president of regional King City's Alchemy Union was rumored to be a Grade 8 alchemist. An opportunity given by a Grade 8 alchemist was extremely rare and could only be encountered by chance. Some alchemists who thought that their alchemy skills were passable secretly made up their minds to participate in the next event. Alchemy Union's 2nd floor. Ningyu only took a glance at the elixir recipe and determined what elixir was recorded. Immortal Pill. The elixir recipe that Qingqi took out was for the Immortal Pill. The Immortal Pill was a Grade 6 elixir and the refining process wasn't too complicated. There was a key point that could be easily refined as long as one could grasp it. But if one couldn't grasp that key point, even if they refined it 10 times or 100 times, they wouldn't succeed even once. Swish swish swish. About 10 minutes later, Qingqi threw out 11 storage bags, each containing a set of herbs for refining the Immortal Pill. You have an hour. Qingqi stretched out a finger and said, An hour later, I will personally inspect the elixir that you refined. As long as you meet the requirements, you will receive the opportunity that I will give. Boom. The Immortal Pill was very difficult to refine and an hour was not particularly sufficient. Hence, the moment Qingqi finished speaking, many alchemists took out their cauldrons and started refining the Immortal Pill. While everyone was refining the elixir, there was an alchemist who didn't do anything but sat on a chair and closed his eyes to rest. This alchemist was none other than Ningyu. Ningyu's maverick behavior attracted Qingqi's attention. Su Jia asked me to test him. Since that's the case, I'll test the strength of his soul force. Seeing Ningyu's appearance, Qingqi rolled his eyes. His soul force quietly left his body and slowly approached Ningyu. Qingqi wasn't worried that Ningyu would discover anything because he knew that Ningyu's soul force was at the 6th grade. As for whether it was an early stage or peak rank 6, Qingqi did not know. Vice President Qing. Before Ching-Chi's soul force could reach Ningyu's side, Ningyu suddenly opened his eyes and said, "Actually, I only have one goal in coming to the Alchemy Union, and that is to see the president of the Alchemy Union. I wonder if Vice President Ching can introduce me?" "You want to meet the president?" The words that suddenly rang in his ears made Ching-Chi's heart skip a beat. He quickly retracted his soul force. Ching-Chi tried his best to calm the panic in his heart. The corner of his mouth rose into an undetectable arc as he said, "No problem. As long as you can refine a mid-grade eternal pill, I'll bring you to see the president." Something's fishy. With Ningyu's sharp senses, he naturally noticed the arc at the corner of Ching-Chi's mouth. However, Ningyu did not expose Ching-Chi. Instead, he said indifferently, "The eternal pill is a little difficult to refine. I'll try my best." Crack! Right at this moment, a crisp sound rang out. Pill explosion. Before Ningyu even started refining the eternal pill, someone had already exploded their pill. This also showed that the eternal pill was indeed difficult to refine. Crack! 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 Following that, another 3 crisp sounds rang out. This time, the 3 of them exploded their pills together. Only 2 minutes had passed since Ching-Chi announced the start of the refining. 4 people exploded their pills in 2 minutes. This speed was truly terrifying. What kind of medicinal pill is recorded on the pill formula? Why did 4 people explode their pills in just 2 minutes? You ask me, who should I ask? According to my observation, it must be a 6th-grade medicinal pill. Moreover, it's an extremely difficult medicinal pill to refine among 6th-grade medicinal pills. **T, I know this too. On the first floor of the Alchemy Union, everyone was discussing. Regarding everyone's discussion, Ningyu did not care in the slightest. Although the eternal pill was difficult to refine, in his opinion, it was just SOSO. Forget about a mid-grade eternal pill, even if it was a high-grade or supreme-grade eternal pill. He could refine it. Tick-tock, tick-tock, time passed by minute by minute. Almost every few minutes there would be someone exploding their pill. Half an hour later, the 10 alchemists selected by Ching-Chi all failed in their refinement. On the other hand, Ningyu was slowly refining the medicinal herbs. According to Ningyu's speed, he might not even be able to refine the eternal pill in 2 hours. "What the hell is he doing?" Ching-Chi said in a low voice. He couldn't figure out what Ningyu was trying to do. One had to know that even if he personally refined the eternal pill, based on Ningyu's speed, he wouldn't be able to refine it, let alone Ningyu. Swish! Just as Ching-Chi was feeling puzzled, Ningyu suddenly increased his speed. Among the medicinal herbs used to refine the eternal pill, there are a few that are more domineering. At this speed, it's extremely likely that the cauldron won't be able to withstand it. Ching-Chi had suffered from the eternal pill in the past. In order to refine the eternal pill, Ching-Chi had lost a few cauldrons on the Earth list. Now that he saw Ningyu's speed, Ching-Chi was reminded of some unbearable past events. Ningyu did not care about Ching-Chi's thoughts. He only had one thought, and that was to refine as many mid-grade eternal pills as he could. Other people would think of ways to refine higher-grade medicinal pills, but Ningyu wanted to refine low-grade medicinal pills. Rumble! In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. Ningyu slapped the cauldron, and in an instant, the lid was lifted, and a round medicinal pill appeared in Ningyu's hand. Voila! Feeling the berserk aura emitting from the medicinal pill in Ningyu's hand, Ching-Chi instantly stood up and stared at the eternal pill in Ningyu's hand. High-grade eternal pill? Ching-Chi swallowed a mouthful of saliva, his face filled with disbelief. What the hell? Ningyu's method of refining pills, this kind of pill refining speed, was actually able to refine high-grade eternal pills. It was indeed infuriating to compare oneself with others. Wrong. The most coquettish one was Ningyu, who shook his head and said indifferently, "I'm only refining a mid-grade eternal pill, the quality is still a little off from high-grade." Qing Chi's face was filled with black lines. Vice President Qing, I wonder if you can introduce me to the president of the Alchemy Union? Ning Yu threw the eternal pill to Qing Chi. No problem. Qing Chi steadily caught the eternal pill that Ning Yu threw over, checked it, and said, The president is on the 7th floor of the Alchemy Union, follow me. With that, Qing Chi walked towards the 3rd floor of the Alchemy Union without looking back. Dark Emperor, let's go. Chapter 807. Trapped. Everyone in the Alchemy Union's hall saw Ning Yu's actions, and their mouths twitched. That black dog's cultivation base was at Yin-Yang realm. How could it be kicked in the butt so easily? What shocked everyone the most was that the black dog did not even let out a fart. From this, it could be seen that Ning Yu's cultivation base was at least Yin-Yang realm. Ning Yu was unaware of everyone's shock. At that moment, Ning Yu had already followed Qing Chi to the 7th floor of the Alchemy Union. The president is inside. Qing Chi pointed at the closed door and said, Go in yourself. Aren't you going in with me? Ning Yu was puzzled. You promised to introduce me. I have a good relationship with the president. You just need to tell him my name, Qing Chi said with a smile. Creak. As soon as Qing Chi finished his sentence, the closed door opened automatically. Ning Yu pondered for a second and then entered the room. The Dark Emperor glared at Qing Chi and followed behind Ning Yu. I'll let you show off for a while. I'll let you know what cruelty is in an hour. Qing Chi watched Ning Yu and the Dark Emperor enter the room, and then his figure flashed and disappeared in an instant. Buzz. Not long after Qing Chi disappeared, he appeared in another room. There was a young martial artist in the room. Su Jia. Su Jia saw Qing Chi enter and said in a deep voice, How's it going? Did you find out that kid's identity? Don't worry, I'm doing it. Qing Chi patted his chest and said, I've tricked that kid into the 7th floor. Tricked him into the 7th floor? Su Jia frowned and then his expression changed. He scolded, The president of the Alchemy Union is locked up on the 7th floor. You tricked that kid into the 7th floor. If something goes wrong, the consequences will be unimaginable. It's not that serious, right? Ning Yu's cultivation base is only Yin-Yang realm. If he enters the 7th floor, there won't be a ripple. Qing Chi hesitated. What the hell do you know? Su Jia shouted coldly, then said in surprise, What? You said that kid is called Ning Yu? Are you sure? I'm sure that his name is Ning Yu. Qing Chi was a little puzzled by Su Jia's reaction. Wasn't he just a Yin-Yang realm martial artist? Was there a need to have such a huge reaction? Let me see the situation on the 7th floor, Su Jia said coldly with a wave of his hand. Qing Chi did not dare to be negligent. He hurriedly took out a crystal ball from his pocket and threw it against the wall. Gotcha! The crystal ball shattered, and the situation of the 7th floor appeared on the wall. Ning Yu won't be able to do anything. He's already trapped by the 7th floor's formation. Qing Chi pointed to the wall and said, Stay here and pay attention to the situation on the 7th floor. Notify me immediately if anything happens. Su Jiao was slightly relieved. He said in a low voice, I'll go to the Zhao family first. With that, Su Jia's figure flashed and disappeared in the blink of an eye. What's there to see? Ning Yu has already been trapped. Without external help, it's impossible for him to move at all. Qing Chi pursed his lips when he saw Su Jia leave, and then he said in a clear voice, Guards? Creak. The door was pushed open, and a peak primal core realm martial artist walked in quickly. Stay here and watch. Notify me immediately if anything happens. Leaving behind these words, Qing Chi's figure also flashed, disappearing. The peak primal core realm martial artist stared at the wall obediently, not daring to make any small movements. At the same time, on the 7th floor of the Alchemy Union, Ning Yu's expression was extremely solemn. There was nothing but white around him. Ning Yu could not even see where the Dark Emperor was. If not for the fact that he could communicate with the Dark Emperor through soul telepathy, Ningyu would have thought that the Dark Emperor was dead. Qingqi would not help him for no reason. There must be something fishy about this. Ningyu's eyes turned, thinking about how to get out of here. Kid, why are you here? Just as Ningyu was thinking, a voice rang in his ear. Hearing this voice, Ningyu was slightly startled and asked, "You are?" From the voice, Ningyu could tell that the person who spoke was extremely weak and not in peak condition. I am the president of the Alchemy Union, Chu Guang." A faint laugh sounded. "A few days ago, an expert from the corpse sect came to me and asked me for the treasure of the Alchemy Union. I naturally refused, so we had a fierce battle here. Although I used the formation of the Alchemy Union to increase my strength, I still lost. In the end, not only was the treasure of the Alchemy Union taken away, but even I was trapped here. President Chu, what is the strength of that expert from the corpse sect?" Ningyu asked doubtfully. "The peak of the creation state," Chu Guang said. Chu Guang said, "One move. I was defeated by him in just one move. If he didn't think that I was useful, he would have already killed me." Peak of the manifestation realm, Ningyu frowned and said, "President Chu, forgive me for offending you, but how can you prove your identity?" "Sigh, I knew you would ask this question." Chu Guang sighed and said, "To be honest, I don't have a way to prove my identity right now, but I think it's unnecessary for us to talk about this because we will be trapped here until that expert from the corpse sect comes to refine us. What if I tell you that I have a way to take you out?" Ningyu asked in a deep voice. "You have a way to take me out? You are like a clay Buddha crossing the river, you can't even protect yourself, how can you take me out?" "What?" Chu Guang chuckled. He didn't believe what Ningyu said. However, before Chu Guang finished speaking, his eyes widened. He didn't know when Ningyu had arrived in front of him. Although he still couldn't see Ningyu's face, it was enough to shock Chu Guang. Ningyu could actually move his body here. Chu Guang had been trapped here for many days. He had tried for a long time, but he couldn't even move half a step. As soon as Ningyu was trapped, he could move his feet. Maybe Ningyu really had a way to take him out of this place. "President Chu, I can save you, but you have to make a heavenly oath." Ningyu's voice sounded in Chu Guang's ears. In order to leave this place, Chu Guang gritted his teeth and made a heavenly oath. At the same time, Chu Guang added a condition. "If you can save me, I will give you a fortune." Ningyu only smiled at the fortune mentioned by Chu Guang. In Ningyu's opinion, Chu Guang was at most at the early stage of the manifestation realm. The fortune he gave him would probably not be of much help to him. "Red Fiend, I'm counting on you." Ningyu took a deep breath and injected all the Yuan Qi in his body into the Red Fiend's sword. At the same time, Ningyu sent a voice transmission to the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast, asking them to inject their energy into his body. The Dark Emperor and Furball didn't stay idle either. The energy in their bodies surged out, first entering Ningyu's body before Ningyu transferred it into the Red Fiend's sword. Buzz buzz. Chapter 808. Block the Weishio. Trembling to its limit, the Red Demon's sword abruptly broke free from Ningyu's grip and began to swing left and right in the room. What the hell are they doing? Ningyu was puzzled when he saw the Hongmo's actions. It was no wonder that Ningyu was puzzled. This was because the Red Fiend was only crashing around in the room and did not attempt to crack the array formation. "Ningyu, I've found the location of the array core. Now, it's up to you to see if you can break it with a single strike." After about 10 minutes, the Red Demon's sword suddenly stopped in front of Ningyu. At the same time, the Red Fiend's voice sounded in Ningyu's ears. 3 meters to the front left. Ningyu was slightly surprised by the familiar voice that rang in his ears. At first, Ningyu suspected that the Red Fiend was up to something. Now that he heard the Red Fiend's words, Ningyu was enlightened. It turned out that the Red Fiend wasn't charging left and right, but was looking for the array core. Ningyu took a deep breath. With the red demon sword in his hand, he slashed out an astonishing sword wave in the air. Chi. The sword wave was very powerful. It could be said to be the most powerful attack that Ningyu could display at this stage. After all, the energy within the bodies of the silver-winged dragons and the others was all in the red demon sword. Such a powerful sword wave followed the guidance of the red fiend and instantly struck the array formation's array core. Rumble. Actually, the power of the array formation was still very strong. Otherwise, it would not have been able to trap Ningyu and Chu Guang. Unfortunately, the array core had been found by the red fiend. Coupled with the shocking sword wave that Ningyu had blasted out, the outcome was obvious. The powerful formation was instantly disintegrated from the inside out. What happened? At this moment, in one of the rooms, a peak primal core warrior stared at the wall with a puzzled look on his face. Suddenly, the martial artist at the peak of the primal core stage seemed to have thought of something. His expression changed, and he hurriedly took out a crystal ball and crushed it. Buzz. Not long after the crystal ball was crushed, Ching-Chi appeared before the pinnacle of the primal core stage. You better give me a reasonable explanation, or I'll let you know why the flowers are so red. Ching-Chi clenched his fists tightly, and the aura of a half-step to the creation realm was released. The reason why Ching-Chi was so angry was because he was cultivating some kind of spell just now, and he was only half a step away from mastering it. Anyone would be angry to be interrupted at such a crucial moment. Thump. Under the pressure of Ching-Chi's half-step creation realm aura, the martial artist at the peak of the primal core realm could not help but kneel on the ground. He gritted his teeth and said, "Something has happened on the 7th floor of the Alchemy Union." What could possibly happen to the 7th floor of the Alchemist Union? Also, wait, what did you say? Something happened to the 7th floor of the Alchemist Union? Ching-Chi waved his hand. Just as he was about to scold them, his pupils shrank and he looked at the wall. Whoosh. It was fine if he didn't look, but when he did, it caused Ching-Chi's heart to thump. Without hesitation, Ching-Chi tore through the void and flew towards the 7th floor of the Alchemy Union. Creak. Just as Ching-Chi arrived at the 7th floor of the Alchemy Union, he saw the door to the 7th floor open and two cultivators slowly walked out. Ching-Chi was familiar with both of them. The younger one was Ningyu, and his cultivation was at the advanced Yin-Yang stage. The older one was Chu Guang, the president of the Alchemy Union, and his cultivation was at the early stage of the creation realm. Vice President Ching, why are you here? Are you here to give me a great fortune? Ningyu said in surprise when he raised his head and saw the familiar person in front of him. He's not the vice president of the Alchemy Union, Chu Guang said coldly. The vice president of the Alchemy Union has been killed by the powerhouses of the corpse sect. He's from the corpse sect, so he's a fake. Hee, I already knew he's from the corpse sect. Ningyu smiled faintly and said, "The reason why I didn't execute him on the spot was because I didn't want to alert the enemy and cause unnecessary trouble. Ningyu, you don't have to worry. With your strength, you only need to pay attention to 3 powerhouses of the corpse sect in Realm King City," Chu Guang explained. The first 2 are the geniuses of the corpse Yin sect, Su Jia and Qiu Jian. Although their cultivation is only half a step to the Fate realm, their comprehensive strength is very terrifying. They can even compete with warriors at the later stage of the Fate realm. The last one is the martial artist at the peak of the creation realm who defeated me. Speaking of this, Chu Guang changed the topic. However, you don't have to worry now because the martial artist at the peak of the creation realm is in seclusion. If he comes out, I'll know immediately. I'm relieved to hear that, Ningyu said faintly. Ching-Chi's mouth opened slightly as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. He looked up to the sky and laughed wildly. Ha! After laughing wildly, Ching-Chi snorted. Ningyu, I don't know where you get your courage from. Don't worry, to tell you the truth, My real cultivation is not the half-step creation realm, but the mid-stage creation realm. Oh, you're in the mid-stage creation realm, but unfortunately, it's still useless. Ningyu was still as calm as before. Swoosh. However, Ningyu was very clear about the current situation. They had to leave the Alchemy Union as soon as possible. Now that they had been exposed, if they stayed in the Alchemy Union, they would probably be in trouble. The most important thing now was to get rid of Qingqi and then find a place to improve their cultivation. Ningyu was not very afraid of Su Jia and Qiu Jian, who Chu Guang mentioned. The key was the peak of the creation realm powerhouse. With Ningyu's late-stage yin-yang cultivation, it was almost impossible for him to compete with a peak of the creation realm martial artist. Life and death palm. With a low shout, Ningyu rose from the ground and rushed toward Qingqi at an extremely shocking speed. Good timing. Looking at Ningyu who was approaching him, Qingqi's eyes shone with a terrifying light. The primordial qi in his sea of consciousness gathered on his wrist, and his palm collided with Ningyu's palm. Pa. Two sounds rang out in succession. The first was the sound of Qingqi's palm colliding with Ningyu's palm. The second was the sound of Qingqi's scream. Impossible! How can you be so strong? Feeling the pain coming from his palm, Qingqi could not believe that he, who was in the mid-stage creation realm, was actually defeated in one move. If he was defeated by a late-stage creation realm martial artist, Qingqi might not be so shocked. The key was that Ningyu was only in the late-stage yin-yang realm. If this news spread, how could he establish himself in the corpse yin sect? I'm going to tear you apart! Qingqi roared hysterically. He wanted to get revenge. He wanted to kill Ningyu and turn Ningyu's bones into ashes. Pooh! However, as soon as Qingqi said those words, his mouth opened wide, and his eyes revealed a look of disbelief. Qingqi looked down at the blood-red flying sword in his chest. He stretched out his hand and pointed at Ningyu. He wanted to say something, but before he could say anything, he fell to the ground with a bang. Ka ka ka. After Qingqi fell, not only did his aura drop sharply, but even his bones made cracking sounds. In just a few seconds, Qingqi turned into a skeleton. Ningyu, your flying sword has the power to devour? Chapter 809. Song-yi, now is not the time to talk about this. This is not a good place to stay. Let's leave this place quickly. The Realm King City had already been firmly occupied by the Corpse Yin sect, so staying in the Realm King City was very dangerous. Although Ningyu also wanted to exterminate the Corpse sect in World King City, Ningyu knew what he had to face next. At this critical moment, once the Corpse Yin sect's peak Fate Realm martial artist came out, the consequences would be unimaginable. Come with me, I'll take you somewhere. Chu Guang recovered from his shock and stomped his feet on the ground. In an instant, he tore apart the void and disappeared. Ningyu hesitated for a second, and then his figure also became illusory. Buzz. Not long after Ningyu and Chu Guang left, a spatial crack appeared in the area. A young man in his 20s rushed out of the crack. Qingqi. The first thing the young man saw when he appeared was the skeleton on the ground. Obviously, the young man recognized the true identity of the skeleton from its structure alone. The reason why the young man recognized Qingqi wasn't because of his amazing judgment, but because the young man was Su Jia. A few minutes ago, Su Jia received Qingqi's distress signal. Unfortunately, even though Su Jia rushed over, he was still a step too late. Ningyu. Su Jia stared at the empty 7th floor of the Alchemy Union with a vicious look on his face. Qiu Jian's whereabouts are unknown, Qingqi was killed, and even the president of the Alchemy Union was rescued by you. Very good, very good. I want to see where you can run to. Then, Su Jia took out a crystal ball and shouted, all members of the Corpse sect in Realm King City, pay attention to a cultivator named Ningyu. If you find any news of him, report to me immediately. In addition, seal the gates of Realm King City. Without my permission, no one can enter or leave Realm King City. After giving out all the instructions, Su Jia still felt a little uneasy. He took out another crystal ball, whispered a few words, and then crushed it. The rescue of Chu Guang was of great importance. Ningyu could be spared, but Chu Guang must be found. Otherwise, if the higher-ups were to blame them, the consequences would be unimaginable. To ensure that nothing went wrong, Su Jia decided to contact the people from Great Fu Imperial City and ask them to send people to help. In a certain inn in Realm King City, in a top-class room, there were a total of 8 martial artists in the guest room. 4 of them were at the peak of the yin-yang stage, 2 were at the half-step manifestation stage, 1 was at the beginning stage of the manifestation stage, and 1 was at the middle stage of the manifestation stage. At that moment, the early-stage Fate Realm martial artist was saying something to the mid-stage Fate Realm martial artist. What? After listening to the beginner-stage Creation Realm martial artist's story, the intermediate-stage Creation Realm martial artist instantly stood up from his chair and said in a deep voice, "You said that you have news about Ningyu? Then what are we waiting for? Let's set off quickly and try to find Ningyu before the others." After entering the Realm King City, Zhuoyan and the others found an inn to stay in first. Although Zhuoyan and the others' destination was the Corpse Dragon Mountain Range, they also knew that the Corpse Dragon Mountain Range was full of dangers. With their strength, going in would only be a dead end. Therefore, they planned to stay in Realm King City for a few days and meet up with the others from the Nine Furnace Divine Pavilion's 9th branch before going to the Corpse Dragon Mountain Range. Who would have thought that just as they arrived in Realm King City, before their butts even warmed up, they would hear news about Ningyu. "Zhuoyan, I'm afraid that this matter is a bit tricky." Ching Songyong was an early-stage Fate Realm martial artist, and he was responsible for investigating Ningyu. The more he investigated, the more Ching Songyong felt that Ningyu was terrifying. Just the fact that Ningyu was able to turn the corpse sex alchemy union upside down was enough to make them look at him in a new light. "What do you mean?" Zhuoyan asked doubtfully. "Ningyu offended the corpse sect. At this time, the corpse sect is chasing him," Ching Songyong said. Hearing Ching Songyong's story, Zhuoyan frowned. This matter was indeed a bit tricky. Although the corpse sect's forces in Realm King City weren't particularly heaven-defying, they still had a peak Fate Realm martial artist. In addition, the distance between Realm King City and Great Hill King City wasn't too far. If there was a battle here, the corpse sect's powerhouses from Great Hill King City would definitely rush over. "How about this? You secretly investigate first," Zhuoyan said after pondering for a moment. "Haha, Zhuoyan, what do you want Ching Songyong to investigate? Why don't you tell us? Maybe we can be of some help." Before Zhuoyan's voice fell, a light chuckle sounded. Shwa, shwa, shwa. Then, several figures appeared in front of Zhuoyan and the others. Coincidentally, there were also 8 martial artists this time. 4 of them were at the peak yin-yang realm, 2 were at the half-step Fate realm, 1 was at the early Fate realm, and 1 was at the middle Fate realm. The martial artist who let out a light chuckle was at the middle Fate realm. "Song-yi, I don't think I need to report to you what my people are investigating, right?" Seeing the acquaintance in front of him, Zhuoyan said in a deep voice, "I advise you to do your part. This trip to the Corpse Dragon Mountain Range can only succeed, not fail." "Humph. Of course I know that the trip to the Corpse Dragon Mountain Range can only succeed. What I'm asking now is, what do you want Ching Songyong to investigate?" The middle Fate Realm martial artist called Song-yi coldly snorted. "Ching Songyong, say it again." Zhuoyan waved his hand, indicating Ching Songyong to say the matter. Cough cough. Ching Songyong coughed twice, and then in front of so many people, he once again told the news he learned about Ningyu. "So it's Ningyu," Song-yi said gloomily. "As far as I know, Ningyu is only at the late yin-yang realm. Is there a need for you to make such a big fuss? What does it have to do with you whether I make a fuss or not? What are you doing here? If you have something to say, spit it out. I can't be bothered to waste words with you. Zhuo Yan coldly said. Haha, there's no need to be angry. I only came here to tell you not to act rashly. Song Yi wasn't angry at all. He lightly smiled and said, the Nine-Furnace Divine Pavilion's 8th branch has also joined in. We can be the mantis stalking the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Whose idea is this? Zhuo Yan asked. Of course it's Gu Yuan's idea. Whether you believe it or not is up to you. In any case, I've already brought the message. In the next few days, I will stay in World King City and won't go anywhere. Song Yi shrugged his shoulders. His figure flashed and he instantly disappeared. After Song Yi left, the 7 genius martial artists he brought also disappeared. Zhuo Yan, should we continue investigating Ning Yu's matter? Cheng Songyong asked, puzzled. Investigate? Why wouldn't we investigate? This matter was personally ordered by Gu Yuan, so of course we must continue investigating. It's just that. Speaking to hear, Zhuo Yan's tone suddenly changed. He coldly said, we will first investigate in secret. If there's a chance, we will kill Ningyu. If there's no chance, then we will just wait and see. Of course, we must first inform Gu Yuan of Ningyu's appearance in World King City. Zhuo Yan thought for a moment and then continued, also, vaguely mention that Song Yi has dealings with the 8th branch. Yes. Chapter 810. Soul Tree Humph. Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? After leaving the inn, Song Yi and the others stopped in a certain alley. Song Yi's face was cold and full of viciousness. Zhuo Yan, I hope that you can display your invincible might and kill Ningyu. If you do that, then all of your resources in the Nine-Furnace Divine Pavilion will belong to me. Song Yi knew why Ningyu had offended Gu Yuan. With such a deep hatred, Gu Yuan definitely did not want Ningyu to die easily. So, as long as Zhuo Yan killed Ningyu, he would definitely offend Gu Yuan. The grudge between Song Yi and Zhuo Yan, Ningyu did not know. After leaving the Alchemy Union, Ningyu followed Chu Guang around World King City for a few rounds. After confirming that no one was following them, they stopped in front of a dilapidated house. Chu Guang pushed open the door and walked in first. Ningyu used his perception to probe the surroundings for a while before following Chu Guang into the room. Black. Very dark. The first thing Ningyu felt when he entered the room was darkness. The second thing he felt was that it was very dark. This kind of darkness wasn't normal darkness. It could even block out one's perception. I'll be fine in a bit. Chu Guang knew that Ningyu would definitely be shocked, so he formed a seal with his hands and shouted in a low voice. Light up! As Chu Guang's voice fell, the originally pitch-black room instantly became bright. Ningyu, I, Chu Guang, am a man of my words. You saved me from the Alchemy Union, so I will give you a huge fortune. Chu Guang took down a painting scroll from the wall and handed it over to Ningyu. Ningyu was slightly puzzled as he took the painting. On the surface, there was nothing special about the scroll. It was very plain. Don't underestimate this scroll. Put your hand into the scroll and take a look. Chu Guang didn't think there was anything wrong with Ningyu's expression, because he had the same expression when he first saw the painting. Upon hearing Chu Guang's words, Ningyu raised his eyebrows and split out a wisp of his perception to probe the scroll. After a while, Ningyu withdrew his perception. After pondering for 3 seconds, Ningyu raised his right hand and reached for the scroll. Boom! As soon as Ningyu's palm touched the scroll, he felt a huge suction force coming from the scroll, trying to pull him into it. Whoosh! Ningyu hurriedly used a magical art to resist. However, this kind of attractive force was extremely terrifying. Ningyu didn't resist for long. His body turned into an afterimage and entered the scroll. Chu Guang laughed sinisterly when he saw Ningyu enter the painting. Soon after, his figure flashed, turning into an afterimage as he entered the painting. When Ning Yu woke up, his eyes were filled with shock. What is this place? Ning Yu's mouth was slightly agape as he felt the rich yuan energy fluctuations around him. Of course it's the space inside the scroll. Chu Guang's voice rang in Ning Yu's ears. Ning Yu looked over and saw Chu Guang slowly walking over from afar. In his hand was a blood-red fruit. Vermilion fruit. Looking at the fruit in Chu Guang's hand, Ning Yu's face was burning with excitement. He even had the urge to jump up. That's right, it's the vermilion fruit. Chu Guang came to Ning Yu's side and threw the vermilion fruit to Ning Yu. The energy contained in the vermilion fruit is extremely huge. If you devour and refine it, your cultivation base will at least rise to the peak of the yin-yang stage. You might even be able to break through to the half-step to manifestation stage. This is my first gift to you. Chu Guang pointed at a towering tree not far away and continued, the second gift is the spirit tree. The spirit tree has a heaven-defying effect on cultivating soul power. If I'm not wrong, your soul power is at the peak of grade 6. If you cultivate under the spirit tree for a day, you might even be able to raise your soul power to the early stage of grade 7. Spirit tree. The reason why Ning Yu revealed a burning expression when he saw the vermilion fruit was not because it could raise his cultivation base to the peak of the yin-yang stage. Instead, it was because the vermilion fruit was one of the main ingredients in refining the vermilion pill. As for the vermilion pill, it was recorded in the book Reincarnation Pill Tao. The vermilion pill was a grade 6 medicinal pill that was extremely helpful in improving a martial artist's physique. Its medicinal effects were comparable to a peak grade 8 medicinal pill. Ning Yu's current physique was comparable to a mid-manifestation stage martial artist. If he consumed the vermilion pill, his physique could even match a peak manifestation stage martial artist. However, the burning expression on Ning Yu's face disappeared the moment he saw the spirit tree. Although the spirit tree was extremely helpful in cultivating soul power, its backlash was extremely terrifying. If he was not careful, he would be devoured by the spirit tree and become its nourishment. What is Chu Guang planning? Ning Yu had a feeling that Chu Guang was not a simple person. As the saying went, there was no such thing as a free lunch. Chu Guang's cultivation base was at the early stage of the manifestation stage. Although it was difficult for him to raise his cultivation base to the mid-stage of the manifestation stage by consuming the vermilion fruit, it could still increase his strength by 10 to 20%. As for the spirit tree, it was even more unreasonable. Ning Yu did not believe that Chu Guang would be so kind as to give him the vermilion fruit and the spirit tree. Thinking of this, Ning Yu maintained his composure and said, Chairman Chu, as the chairman of the Alchemy Union, you must have a lot of medicinal ingredients on you. I wonder if you have the 3-leaf lotus, 100-herb flower, gentian purple. What do you want these ingredients for? Chu Guang asked curiously. The spirit tree is very helpful in cultivating soul power. I want to refine an elixir under the spirit tree. Ning Yu said, I have never successfully refined this kind of elixir before. Now that I have the spirit tree, I want to try again. If that's the case, I don't mind giving it to you. Chu Guang frowned slightly and flicked his wrist. Instantly, a storage bag flew towards Ning Yu. Other than the ingredients you mentioned, there are many more ingredients in the storage bag. You can have the rest, Chu Guang said. If that's the case, thank you, Chairman Chu. Ning Yu took the storage bag and cupped his fists to thank Chu Guang. What are you thanking me for? You saved me from the Alchemy Union. Take these as compensation. Chu Guang waved his hand and found an empty space to sit cross-legged. Then, he began to recuperate. Ning Yu seemed to really want to refine elixirs under the spirit tree. He walked under the spirit tree and took out his alchemy furnace. Ning Yu's alchemy furnace was the one he won from the mysterious man at the furnace pavilion. Both of his alchemy furnaces were of high quality. Both of them could squeeze into the top 3 of the alchemy furnace earth list. Hong Mo, you guys help me pay attention to Chu Guang. If he dares to do anything, take him down immediately. As Ningyu sorted out the ingredients for refining the vermilion elixir, he transmitted his voice to Hong Mo and the others. Although the vermilion elixir was only a 6th grade elixir, it was extremely difficult to refine. The slightest mistake would result in failure. Therefore, Ningyu had to make all the necessary arrangements first. After making all the arrangements, Ningyu devoted himself to refining the vermilion elixir. On the other side, Chu Guang saw Ningyu's actions and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. Chapter 8:11. The Vermilion Pill. Under the Tree of Souls, Ningyu began to refine the vermilion pill. To be honest, Ningyu had never refined a vermilion pill before, so he was extra careful this time. Chi. As Ningyu threw the herbs into the cauldron, he used his spiritual perception to observe the situation inside the cauldron. Ningyu carefully dissolved and refined every single herb. There were not many herbs required to refine the vermilion pill. If it was any other 6th grade pill, Ningyu would only need 10 minutes to refine all the herbs. However, to refine the vermilion pill, Ningyu took an hour to refine all the herbs. Go! After refining all the herbs, Ningyu growled and threw the vermilion fruit into the cauldron. Whoosh! From afar, Chu Guang kept an eye on Ningyu's movements. When Ningyu was refining the herbs, Chu Guang did not react. However, when Chu Guang saw Ningyu throw the vermilion fruit into the cauldron, his eyes widened and he stood up. Is he using the vermilion fruit to refine a long-lost ancient pill? Chu Guang's eyes were filled with shock. The vermilion fruit was extremely potent. If it was added into an ordinary pill, there was no doubt that the pill would explode. However, Chu Guang had heard of a type of pill. Only that kind of pill could be refined by adding the vermilion fruit during the refining process without causing the pill to explode. Chu Guang's lips curled into a smile. Let's wait and see. If Ningyu is really going to refine an ancient pill, then I'll make a killing today. However, before Chu Guang could finish his sentence, he quickly composed himself and sat down cross-legged. At that moment, Chu Guang felt a perceptive force notice him. Unsurprisingly, the power of perception came from Ningyu. It won't be too late for me to make a move after the soul tree devours you. Chu Guang closed his eyes as if he was resting. Looks like Ningyu was right. There's something wrong with this Chu Guang. Hong Mo murmured within the storage ring. Then what are we waiting for? There's something wrong with him. Let's hurry up and take him down, the Dark Emperor shouted. It's not time yet. Let's wait for him to completely reveal his foxtail before we make our move. Hong Mo waved his hand and said, if we make a move now, it might have a bad effect on Ningyu and affect his pill refining. Hearing what you said, it seems to make sense. Since that's the case, I'll listen to you and wait for Ningyu to refine the pill before we make our move. The Dark Emperor looked like he had come to a sudden realization. Explode. Ningyu didn't have time to care about Chu Guang's little trick. After he threw the vermilion fruit into the cauldron, he immediately released half of his soul power into the cauldron. The most crucial part of refining the vermilion pill was refining the vermilion fruit. As long as he could successfully refine the vermilion fruit, there would be a 90% chance of refining the vermilion pill. In addition, Ningyu wanted to refine as high a quality vermilion pill as possible, so he had to be even more careful. Boom. Time was ticking away. Hard work paid off. Half an hour later, Ningyu successfully refined the vermilion fruit. Phew! With the vermilion fruit successfully refined, the pressure on Ningyu lessened a little. Fuse! Along with Ningyu's shout, the medicinal liquids that were scattered everywhere in the cauldron began to gradually fuse together. After about 10 minutes, when all the medicinal liquids were completely fused, Ningyu quickly released the remaining half of his soul power into the cauldron. Pill formation. After another 10 minutes, Ningyu slapped the cauldron with his right hand and shouted at the same time. Swoosh! In the next instant, the lid of the elixir flew out, and an elixir that was emitting a blood-red glow burst out of the cauldron. Great, it's a supreme-grade vermilion pill. Looking at the red elixir floating in the air, Ningyu revealed an ecstatic expression. Originally, Ningyu thought that he could only refine the superior-grade vermilion pill. Who would have thought that he would refine the supreme-grade vermilion pill? If the superior-grade vermilion pill had a certain chance of elevating Ningyu's physical strength to the peak of the manifestation realm, then the supreme-grade vermilion pill could definitely elevate Ningyu's physical strength to the peak of the manifestation realm. Ningyu's current overall strength was equivalent to a martial artist in the advanced stage of the manifestation realm. If he encountered a martial artist in the peak of the manifestation realm, he could only run away without any room to fight back. However, if he could elevate his physical strength to the peak of the manifestation realm, even if he did not elevate his cultivation to the peak of the yin-yang realm, he could still exchange a few blows with a martial artist in the peak of the manifestation realm. Of course, he could only exchange a few blows. If Ningyu wanted to contend or even kill a martial artist in the peak of the manifestation realm, he had to elevate his cultivation to the peak of the yin-yang realm or even the half-step to the manifestation realm. Swoosh! However, before the joy on Ningyu's face faded, he saw a cold glint rushing out of the soul tree. Its target was the vermilion pill. I knew you would do this. The cold glint that suddenly rushed out was already within Ningyu's expectations. Ningyu gathered the soul power in his body on his wrist, and blasted out with a backhand palm. Life and death palm. The soul tree could devour soul power. If it could not be intimidated, it could even devour the martial artist along with it. The number of genius martial artists that had been devoured by the soul tree in front of him numbered in the hundreds. Unfortunately, the soul tree had underestimated Ningyu and the power of the life and death palm. The life and death palm was an extremely powerful soul attack. Combined with the strength of Ningyu's peak grade 6 soul power, the cold glint that flew out of the soul tree was blasted away. Moreover, the palm print did not dissipate. Instead, it blasted straight into the trunk of the soul tree. Whoosh! The soul tree could not help but shake after being blasted by the palm print of the life and death palm. Damn it! Not far away, Chu Guang saw that the soul tree was attacked and cursed. He immediately leaped up and rushed toward Ningyu. As Chu Guang rushed out, he said some high-sounding words. Ningyu, I lent the soul tree to you to use. How dare you try to destroy it? Since that's the case, I can only teach you a lesson. Smack! Ningyu did not even look at Chu Guang. Instead, he grabbed the vermilion pill and threw it into his mouth. Arrogant! Ningyu's action completely infuriated Chu Guang. Chu Guang unleashed the aura of an early-stage Fate Realm expert and pressed down on Ningyu. At the same time, Chu Guang separated a bit of soul power and began to communicate with the soul tree. Although Chu Guang's cultivation was only at the early-stage manifestation state, the strength of his soul power was not weak. It had reached the early-stage grade 8. Ningyu, I originally wanted to let you live for a while longer. Now, it seems that there is no need for that. Chu Guang said darkly. Next, you will become nourishment for the soul tree. Crack. Ningyu chewed the vermilion pill twice and said lightly, Is that so? Of course. As long as the soul tree devours you, not only will my soul power increase to the mid-stage grade 8, but my cultivation will also increase to the mid-stage manifestation state. Chapter 8:12. Chapter 8:12. Soul Tree Blossoms, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Ningyu suppressed the effect of the vermilion pill and said, Disappointed? How can I be disappointed? The corner of Chu Guang's mouth curled up as he sneered. It seems like you don't know the true power of the soul tree. To tell you the truth, among the geniuses that the soul tree has devoured, there are many more heaven-defying geniuses than you. Even they have become nourishment for the soul tree. Do you think you can escape? No, no, no. I never planned to escape. Ningyu shook his head and said slowly, Come out and entertain President Chu well. I'll deal with this soul tree. Buzz. As soon as he finished speaking, Ningyu's figure turned illusory, turning into an afterimage and jumping onto the soul tree. Whoosh. Next to Chu Guang, the Red Devil, Dark Emperor, Furball, and even the Silver-Winged Dragon and the Twin Horns Beast appeared. Gasp. Chu Guang couldn't help but gasp when he saw the lineup before him. Chu Guang was only at the early stage manifestation realm, but two of the beasts were at the early stage manifestation realm. The cultivation of the other two dogs had also reached the half-step to creation realm. As for the man in red, although he was only at the pinnacle of Yin-Yang realm, Chu Guang knew that he was very powerful. The flying sword in the man's hand was of high quality. It was the red flying sword that broke the formation on the 7th floor of the Elixir Refinement Union. What are you guys trying to do? Chu Guang retreated slowly. What are we trying to do? To get rid of you, of course, the Red Devil said. Why are you wasting time with him? Go. The Dark Emperor had a bad temper. He rose from the ground and was the first to charge at Chu Guang. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Seeing the Dark Emperor make his move, Furball, the Silver-Winged Dragon, and the Twin Horns Beast instantly rushed out and fought with Chu Guang. The Red Devil did not attack. He pondered for a moment before he turned around and entered the Soul Tree. The Dark Emperor and the other three had the upper hand even without the help of the Red Devil. Killing Chu Guang was only a matter of time. At the same time, Ningyu spat out a mouthful of blood in the Soul Tree. His face was slightly pale. TSK, I thought you were powerful, but it turns out you're just a hothead. In front of Ningyu, a cloud of black gas wriggled up and down and let out a strange laugh. As long as I devour you, I will be able to change into a human form and escape from the Soul Tree. If I'm not mistaken, you are a spirit body derived from the Soul Tree, similar to the flying sword spirit body. Ningyu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said solemnly, Wrong. The Soul Tree spirit body flatly denied Ningyu and said in a clear voice, How can the flying sword spirit body compare to me? I'll kill as many of those low-level trash as they come. Whoosh! Just as the Soul Tree spirit body's mocking words fell, the Red Devil tore through the void and stood in front of Ningyu. Flying sword spirit body? Seeing the Red Devil, the Soul Tree spirit body instantly turned from a black gas into an illusory figure. The Soul Tree spirit body was slightly stunned at first, but then it revealed a look of ecstasy. Ha ha, it really takes no effort to find what you're looking for. As long as I can devour you, I can escape from the Soul Tree's shackles. From then on, I can fly as high as the sky and jump as the sea. The Soul Tree spirit body stared at the Red Devil and laughed wildly. Red Devil, why are you here? Has Chu Guang been dealt with? Ningyu asked in confusion when he saw the Red Devil. The Dark Emperor and the others will deal with Chu Guang. I'm here to help you, the Red Devil said solemnly. You flying sword spirit body are really arrogant. You're only at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm, and you want to fight against me? Why don't you look in the mirror? What? Hearing the Red Devil's arrogant words, the Soul Tree spirit body laughed sinisterly. However, just as the Soul Tree spirit body wanted to say a few mocking words, its eyes widened and revealed a look of disbelief. Gulp! The Soul Tree spirit body swallowed a mouthful of saliva, its expression extremely grave. I'm indeed at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm, but my original body is a royal-grade flying sword. After saying that, the Red Fiend transformed and fused with the Red Fiend's sword. Puh! Ningyu reacted quickly. He raised his right hand and firmly held the Red Devil sword in his hand. He said coldly, I'll give you a chance to live. Open your mind and let me plant a wisp of soul power in your body. Otherwise, I'll shatter your spirit body. Impossible. The Soul Tree spirit body refused directly. What a joke. The Soul Tree Spirit Body knew very well that once he opened his mind and let Ningyu plant soul power in his body, his life and death would be controlled by Ningyu. If his body was controlled by someone else, how could he jump around? Since that's the case, I can only apologize. Ningyu's expression gradually turned cold. The primordial chi in his sea of consciousness gathered on the red devil sword, and he slashed out a sword wave with a backhand. Solitaire. Humph. Soul Tree Blossom. The Soul Tree Spirit Body snorted and waved its hands quickly. In the next moment, Ningyu felt a huge vortex appear above his head. Swoosh. 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 Several cold lights rushed out of the vortex. Each cold light was formed by a terrifying soul power. Their target was Ningyu's head. The Soul Tree Spirit Body had devoured and refined many peerless geniuses over the years. The soul power and primordial chi of so many peerless geniuses were all absorbed and refined by the Soul Tree Spirit Body. With the primordial chi and soul power as a backing, the Soul Tree Spirit Body was very confident. Naturally, it was not afraid of Ningyu, because if it dragged on, it would only benefit him. When your primordial chi and soul power are exhausted, I'll let you know why flowers are so red. The Soul Tree Spirit Body's figure gradually became illusory and merged into the void. You're inside the Soul Tree. I'm the master here. You can slowly enjoy it. Enjoy? Of course I'm going to enjoy it. The corners of Ningyu's mouth curled up. His right hand reached into his bosom and took out the flower bud. Rumble! As soon as the flower bud was taken out, an extremely terrifying suction force erupted, instantly devouring all the soul power and primordial chi in the area. What? It's the World Tree. The Soul Tree Spirit Body had just disappeared when it appeared in this area. They were both trees, but the difference between the Soul Tree and the World Tree was not small. It could be said that in front of the World Tree, the Soul Tree was like a blade of grass on the ground. It could only look up to it. Soul Tree Spirit Body, I'll give you one last chance. Let go of your mind, or, at this point, Ningyu paused for a moment before saying coldly, die. As the word die sounded, the flower bud once again erupted with a terrifying devouring force. Moreover, even the Red Fiend's sword erupted with an extremely terrifying devouring force. Under the powerful devouring force of the flower bud and the Red Fiend's sword, the Soul Tree Spirit Body could not hold on any longer. Its aura fell from the clouds to the bottom. You want me to let go of my mind? You're still lacking a little. The Soul Tree Spirit Body resisted the terrifying devouring force. He gritted his teeth and said coldly. Chapter 8:13. Chapter 8:13 Chi Chi Chi. After saying this, the Soul Tree Spirit Body sat on the ground as if it had lost all its strength. Of course, the Soul Tree Spirit Body was just a spirit body and did not have a body. It was just an illusory body lying on the ground. On the other hand, the Soul Tree Spirit Body sat on the ground. There was an earth-shattering change in this area. The surrounding space constantly cracked. Swoosh, 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 countless illusory figures appeared like a roller coaster. In just a few seconds, there were already 80 peerless geniuses appearing, causing the originally spacious area to become a little crowded. The cultivation of these geniuses was uneven. The weakest was at the Yuan Dan realm, and the strongest was the young man in black who was floating in front. Early stage manifestation realm. The black-clothed man's cultivation was at the early stage manifestation realm. He's very strong. Although the black-clothed man's cultivation was only at the early stage manifestation realm, Ningyu could feel an extremely terrifying aura from him. Go! The Soul Tree Spirit Body used all its strength to shout. Buzz! With the Soul Tree Spirit Body's words, 80 peerless genius illusory figures moved in unison and attacked Ningyu. Red Devil, you deal with all the genius illusory figures below the middle stage Yin-Yang realm. Ningyu hurriedly ordered, Flower Bud, I'll leave the rest of the genius illusory figures to you, other than the early stage manifestation realm one. Swoosh. Swoosh. The red fiend and the flower bud understood and immediately began fighting. Fortunately, these geniuses were only illusory figures. Otherwise, no matter how strong Red Devil and Flower Bud's devouring power was, they would not be able to fight against 80 geniuses at the same time. Life and Death Palm. On the other hand, Ningyu gathered the primordial qi in his sea of consciousness on his wrist and punched the black-clothed man's heart with a violent primordial qi. The black-clothed man's reaction was extremely fast. He dodged slightly and avoided Ningyu's fatal punch. Not simple. If not for the illusory figures, I wouldn't even be able to fight against him. Although it was only one move, Ningyu was still able to determine the black-clothed man's strength when he was alive. Without a doubt, the black-clothed man's strength when he was alive was definitely heaven-defying and terrifying. At the same time, Ningyu was very curious. How did Chu Guang trick such a powerful genius to come here to be devoured by the soul tree spirit body? Chu Guang's identity is very suspicious. Other than being the president of the Alchemy Union, he should have another hidden identity. Ningyu instantly thought of a possibility. The president of the Alchemy Union was just one of Chu Guang's identities. His real identity was definitely not simple. Dark Emperor, capture him alive. Ningyu hurriedly sent a soul message to the Dark Emperor. Not good. However, what happened next caused Ningyu's expression to turn completely cold. This was because he discovered that his soul power was actually unable to leave this area. In other words, this place was sealed by the soul tree spirit body. If he wanted to use his soul power to leave this place, he had to kill the soul tree spirit body. Damn it! Red Devil, Huagudwa, find a chance to kill the soul tree spirit body. Ningyu cursed and yelled. Hee, if you want to kill me, you'll have to wait until you kill all these genius phantoms. The soul tree spirit body laughed sinisterly after hearing Ningyu's words. I'll let you show off for a while. Ningyu secretly used the spirit transformation technique, and the golden core in his sea of consciousness suddenly sprang out. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Ningyu would not use the golden core to fight the enemy. As he was worried about the safety of the Dark Emperor and the others, Ningyu decided to take the risk and use the golden core to fight the man in black. Boom! The man in black had no intelligence and was just an illusory figure created by the soul tree using a secret technique. He saw the golden core above Ningyu's head, but his expression didn't change. The man in black even followed the instructions of the soul tree spirit body and launched a strong attack on Ningyu. Go! Ningyu's combat power instantly climbed to the limit after using the golden core. Moreover, the golden core had a certain restraining effect on this kind of illusory figure. Shatter! After 5 minutes of battle, Ningyu seized the opportunity and punched the man in black. Bang! The figure of the man in black immediately became illusory after being hit by Ningyu's fist that contained violent essence qi. Bang! Bang! Ningyu wouldn't waste such a good opportunity. He threw a few more punches, each of which hit the man in black's heart. As Ningyu punched, the figure of the man in black became more and more illusory. In the end, it even dissipated from heaven and earth. Done. After Ningyu killed the man in black, the red fiend and the flower bud also sent news of victory. The geniuses below the midstage of the yin-yang state were all devoured by the red fiend's sword. The remaining geniuses were also devoured by the flower bud. Swish! The flower bud obviously didn't have enough. It rushed out again and targeted the soul tree spirit body. What do you want? Seeing the flower bud flying towards him, the soul tree spirit body's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly said, Kid, I'm willing to let go of my mind and let you control it. Flower bud. Sigh. Hearing the soul tree spirit body's words, Ningyu raised his right hand and was about to say something to stop the flower bud. However, seeing what happened in front of him, He sighed softly and didn't continue. The soul tree spirit body let out a hysterical scream. After the scream, the soul tree spirit body suffered the consequences and was devoured by the flower bud. The flower bud swallowed the soul tree spirit body and immediately let out a dull sound. What? Hearing the dull sound, Ningyu's eyes widened as he stared at the flower bud. Whoosh! The flower bud had a total of 8 petals. Previously, 7 had bloomed, and there was still 1 left. In the past, Ningyu thought that the flower bud needed to devour a lot of energy before the last petal could bloom. Who would have thought that after the flower bud swallowed the soul tree spirit body, the 8th petal would bloom completely? Each petal is bigger than the previous one. Without a doubt, the 8th petal was much bigger than the 7th. I wonder what's going to happen next. Ningyu looked at the flower bud and frowned slightly, feeling a little expectant. After all, the flower bud's 8th petal had bloomed and there would definitely be some changes. Perhaps, the speed at which it absorbed holy qi from the void would be much faster? Actually, the flower bud's speed at absorbing holy qi from the void wasn't slow. Every once in a while, it would produce a Xingyang pill at the end of the branch. However, the speed at which the Xingyang pill was produced was still not satisfactory to Ningyu. If the flower bud's speed at absorbing holy qi increased, it might even be able to produce a Xingyang pill a day. That's right, the Dark Emperor and the rest. Suddenly, Ningyu thought of something important and immediately controlled his perception to leave the area. After the soul tree spirit body was killed, Ningyu's soul power left the area easily. Not good. The moment his soul power left the soul tree, Ningyu's expression changed. Before he could observe the changes in the flower bud, he tore the void and dove in. Chapter 8:14. Formation. Do you pieces of trash think that I'm only at the early stage of the manifestation realm? To tell you the truth, I can use the energy in this scroll to fight. I can even fight against a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm in this scroll. Not far from the soul tree, Chu Guang's lips curled up slightly. He stared at the Dark Emperor and the others who were defeated by him and laughed sinisterly. It's not an injustice for you to die in my hands. However, I'm a little confused. The 4 of you aren't too weak. Why are you by Ningyu's side? Could it be that Ningyu is the young master of some big family? The Dark Emperor spat and said coldly, "Many martial artists at the peak of the manifestation realm have died in our hands. You'd better be careful. Once Ningyu subdues the soul tree, it'll be your time of death." Chu Guang laughed maniacally and scolded, "You're still so stubborn when you're at death's door. Ningyu can't even protect himself now. If I'm not wrong, Ningyu has become nourishment for the soul tree." Pardon me for interrupting. Suddenly, a voice rang in Chu Guang's ears. "What are you interrupting? I don't have time." "No, you're Ningyu." Chu Guang subconsciously waved his hand when he heard the words. However, just as he was about to reject, he seemed to have thought of something and quickly shifted his gaze. This caused Chu Guang's expression to change drastically. This was because a young man had appeared on the other side of him. The man held a blood-red flying sword in his hand and spoke calmly. The young man was Ningyu. After seeing Ningyu, Chu Guang was shocked. This is impossible. None of the martial artists who entered the soul tree came out. Chu Guang did not expect Ningyu to be able to leave the soul tree. One must know that the soul tree had devoured 70 to 80 peerless geniuses. Among them, there was no lack of geniuses who were more powerful than Ningyu. Without exception, none of those geniuses could come out after entering the soul tree. Chu Guang was shocked that Ningyu could leave the soul tree. In this world, nothing is impossible. Ningyu waved the red demon sword in his hand and said calmly, "You said just now that your abilities are on par with martial artists at the peak of the manifestation realm in the painting. I choose to believe you because you were able to defeat the Dark Emperor and the other 3 alone. This is enough to prove that your abilities are heaven-defying. But, Ningyu changed the topic and continued, you have consumed a lot of energy to defeat the Dark Emperor and the others, and the Soul Tree spirit body has already been killed by me, so I'm sorry you won't be able to jump around for long. You're very smart. You guessed that I can't unleash the power of the peak of the creation realm right now. Chu Guang's expression was gloomy. He pointed at the Dark Emperor and the rest and said, however, you've overlooked something. Although I can't unleash the power of the peak of the Fate realm, I can still escape easily with these 4 pieces of trash as hostages, unless you don't care about their lives. I have to say that there are really many stupid people in this world. Ningyu shrugged and crossed his arms in front of his chest. He said, I'd like to see how you're going to leave this place. Since there are 4 hostages, I'll kill one first. Chu Guang snorted coldly and waved his sleeves. In an instant, a cold light attacked the Dark Emperor. Tsk. However, before the cold light from Chu Guang's sleeves could reach the Dark Emperor, it was blocked by a red figure that appeared out of thin air. Who? The sudden change of events made Chu Guang's face turn completely gloomy. You don't need to know who I am. The red figure turned into an afterimage and charged at Chu Guang. I don't believe that a martial artist at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm can fight against me. Chu Guang's eyes turned cold as he raised his right leg and kicked the red figure's head. Chu Guang's idea was simple. He would first kick the martial artist at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm to death, then kill the Dark Emperor. That was the only way he could make Ningyu let him go. Once he left the painting, he could find a way to contact the sect. By then, the sect would send any powerhouse to kill Ningyu and take back the painting. Therefore, the most important thing now was to leave the painting. However, while the ideal was plentiful, the reality was harsh. Chu Guang underestimated the red figure's strength and overestimated his own. Without the help of the painting, Chu Guang could only unleash the strength of an early-stage manifestation state. However, the red figure instantly unleashed the strength of an early-stage manifestation state. In comparison, Chu Guang was naturally at a disadvantage. After screaming, Chu Guang fell to the ground with a weak aura. Swoosh! At this moment, Ningyu flew over from afar and patted the red figure's shoulder. Red Fiend, well done. In fact, the reason why Ningyu talked to Chu Guang instead of fighting him was because he wanted to buy time for the Red Fiend. At that time, Chu Guang and the Dark Emperor were very close. If Chu Guang went berserk, the consequences would be unimaginable. Now that the Red Fiend suddenly appeared and defeated Chu Guang, Ningyu could also relax a little. It's nothing. Chu Guang was arrogant and did not pay attention. The Red Fiend smiled faintly and said, as long as Chu Guang paid a little attention, he would definitely notice that I sneaked up to him. Poochie. Although Chu Guang was lying on the ground, he heard the conversation between Ningyu and the Red Fiend clearly. Especially after hearing what the Red Fiend said, Chu Guang spat out a large mouthful of blood. His originally weak aura became even weaker. Bring Chu Guang into the storage ring and let Sun Jiangwen force out all the information about him. Ningyu pondered for a moment and made this decision. Swoosh! Hearing Ningyu's words, the Red Fiend grabbed Chu Guang and turned into a shadow before entering the storage ring. After doing all this, Ningyu walked quickly to the Dark Emperor and Furball's side. I was careless this time. Take these royal-grade essence crystals and recover to your peak state as soon as possible. Ningyu took out 4 storage bags with 100,000 royal-grade essence crystals in each of them. I say, Ningyu, don't give us royal-grade essence crystals. Are there any Xingyang pills? The Dark Emperor took the storage bag and checked the number of essence crystals inside. He pursed his lips and said, our injuries aren't that serious. As long as each of us gets a Xingyang pill, we'll be able to recover to our peak state very quickly. Dark Emperor, why are you so ambitious? Forget it, let me see if the flower bud has produced new Xingyang pills first. After all, the previous Xingyang pills were consumed by you before they were formed. The main reason why the Dark Emperor and the others were injured this time around was because of Ningyu's carelessness. Therefore, Ningyu decided that as long as the flower bud produced Xingyang pills, he would take them out for the Dark Emperor and the others to use. I'm going to take it. The moment Ningyu's perception entered the storage ring, he saw an unbelievable scene. In the storage ring, the flower bud was suspended in midair. At the end of the branch of the world tree, there was a white pill the size of a fist hanging on it. The white pill was constantly emitting a dense holy qi. Xingyang pill. Chapter 8:15. Peak Yin-Yang Realm. Chapter 8:15. Cultivation. Gulp. Looking at the fist-sized Xingyang pill hanging from the branch of the world tree, Ningyu could not help but gulp. Ningyu was very shocked. It could be said that he was extremely shocked. Ningyu clearly remembered that when he had left the soul tree, there hadn't been any Xingyang pills appearing on the branches of the world tree yet. It hadn't been that long, and there was already a fully formed Xingyang pill hanging on it. What's going on? The change in Ningyu's expression was seen clearly by the Dark Emperor. The Dark Emperor knew that the moment Ningyu revealed such an expression, it meant that Ningyu had made a huge discovery. Therefore, the Dark Emperor said hurriedly, "Did the flower bud produce many Xingyang pills? Don't just stand there and give it to me. With one more Xingyang pill, not only can I recover to my peak, I can even improve further and reach for the early stage of manifestation realm." Ningyu regained his composure and took in a deep breath. "You want a whole Xingyang pill? It won't kill you." After that, Ningyu removed the Xingyang pill from the branch and split it into 6 portions. One portion was left for the Red Fiend, while the remaining 5 were for himself. The Dark Emperor, Furball, and the others each had one. Piak. The Dark Emperor caught the Xingyang pill firmly and pouted his lips, grumbling, "Ningyu, you're way too unkind. You're only giving us these few Xingyang pills? Don't give it to me." Ningyu wanted to take the Xingyang pill back from the Dark Emperor. No, I'm just joking with you. While these Xingyang pills can't help me reach the early stage of manifestation realm, they're enough for me to recover to my peak. In fact, my strength might even improve a little. The Dark Emperor was a dog. How could he return something that he had gotten to Ningyu for nothing? Swoosh. To ensure that he could successfully refine the Xingyang pills, the Dark Emperor flew to the other side and tossed all the Xingyang pills into his mouth. As for Furball and the silver-winged dragon, they sat down where they were and swallowed the Xingyang pills carefully. Seeing what Furball and the others were doing, Ningyu relaxed a little and began to carefully observe the flower bud. The speed at which I absorb the Saint Chi has increased by quite a bit. However, it's still not enough for me to produce a Xingyang pill that quickly. Ningyu frowned slightly as he sensed the rate at which the flower bud was absorbing the Saint Chi. Judging from the rate at which the flower bud was absorbing Saint Chi, it would take about 3 days for it to produce a single Xingyang pill. A complete Xingyang pill could easily allow a pinnacle yin-yang stage practitioner to advance to the initial manifestation stage. Forget it. I'll just cultivate the vermilion pill first before using the Xingyang pill to try breaking through to the peak of yin-yang state. After observing for a while and not finding any clues, Ningyu decided to give up and focus on refining the vermilion pill. Back then, in order to deal with the soul tree spirit body, Ningyu suppressed the effects of the vermilion pill. Without the threat of the soul tree spirit body, Ningyu naturally wanted to refine the vermilion pill again. Boom! Just as Ningyu released the suppression on the vermilion pill, it began to collide left and right in his body. Spirit Transformation Art Guide. Ningyu bellowed and immediately activated the Spirit Transformation Art, guiding the medicinal fluid of the vermilion pill to circulate around his body. Under the guidance of the Spirit Transformation Art, The medicinal fluid of the vermilion pill flowed throughout Ning Yu's body. As for Ning Yu, he was immersed in the violent feeling brought about by the vermilion pill. Time was ticking away. In the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. Swoosh! When Ning Yu opened his eyes, the violent feeling disappeared instantly. Bam! Ning Yu's eyes turned cold as he clenched his right hand into a fist and punched at his own chest. A crisp sound rang out. Ning Yu only felt a dull pain in his chest but did not feel any pain. Phew! Ning Yu slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and muttered, "The vermilion pill is indeed powerful. Without using primordial qi, I can exchange blows with a martial artist at the peak of the creation realm without being at a disadvantage." After the enhancement of the vermilion pill, Ning Yu's body was comparable to a peak manifestation realm martial artist. The density of Ning Yu's primordial qi was comparable to that of a mid-stage creation realm martial artist. As long as he could raise his cultivation to the peak of the yin-yang realm or even the half-step creation realm, his strength would reach the peak of the creation realm. In addition to the red demon sword and a series of trump cards, Ning Yu could even fight and kill a peak manifestation realm martial artist. Gotcha! Ning Yu knew that now was not the time to think so much. He immediately sat down cross-legged and threw the Xingyang pill into his mouth. Ning Yu would definitely not waste such a good opportunity. To begin with, Ning Yu was not far from the peak of the yin-yang realm. Now that he had a fifth of the Xingyang pill, it would not be too difficult for him to do so. After swallowing the Xingyang pill, Ning Yu hurriedly circulated the Spirit Transformation Manual and started absorbing the energy within the Xingyang pill. Bam! After around 10 minutes, the Xingyang pill was completely refined and all the energy entered Ning Yu's consciousness. Swallow it. This was the moment that Ning Yu had been waiting for. After the energy entered his consciousness, the golden core in Ning Yu's consciousness entered berserk mode. Like a thirsty person, the golden core pounced towards the energy produced by the Xingyang pill. Every few minutes, Ning Yu would feel the golden core grow a little bigger. 2 hours later, the golden core in Ning Yu's consciousness expanded by more than twice its original size. Bam! After another half an hour, just as Ning Yu was about to take out a king-grade essence crystal to provide energy, a dull sound rang out. Thereafter, an extremely terrifying aura burst forth from Ning Yu's body. Boom! Rumble! Boom! The Dark Emperor and the others who were refining the Xingyang pills stopped when they saw the change in Ning Yu. The silver-winged dragon and twin horns beast widened their eyes in disbelief. Ning Yu has reached the peak of the yin-yang realm. The Dark Emperor was still the same as he pouted his lips. He must have embezzled a lot of Xingyang pills. Otherwise, there's no way he could have reached the peak of the yin-yang realm. Woof, woof. Furball let out 2 roars to express his congratulations. I've finally reached the peak of the yin-yang realm. Sensing the powerful aura emanating from his body, Ning Yu murmured, "Why don't I wait another day and make use of the third of the Xingyang pills produced by the flower bud to break through to the half-step manifestation realm?" Ning Yu extended his perception deep into his storage ring and checked the rate at which the Xingyang pills were produced. He then made the decision to continue breaking through to the half-step manifestation realm. A single Xingyang pill could allow a martial artist at the peak of the yin-yang realm to reach the early stage of the manifestation realm with ease. With a third of the Xingyang pill and the king-grade essence crystal in his storage ring, Ning Yu believed that he would be able to reach the half-step manifestation realm successfully. Crack! A day later, the door of the room outside the painting was smashed by a punch. 2 martial artists entered the room. Why did his aura disappear? One of the older martial artists frowned. How could Chu Guang's aura disappear for no reason? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense at all. Elder Jean, do you think there's a concealment formation here? Chapter 8:16. Blast to smithereens, Su Jia, you're still too young. The warrior called Elder Jin shook his head and said, "Do you know why the higher-ups didn't kill Chu Guang? Why didn't you kill Chu Guang? Isn't it because Chu Guang still has value?" Su Jia was puzzled. Hee, this is where your youth lies." Elder Jin smiled faintly and said, "Chu Guang is not a simple man. Don't underestimate him just because he's in the early stages of the Fate realm. He's a member of the Soul Divine sect, and he has a close relationship with an elder of the sect." "What? Soul ancestor?" Upon hearing that, Su Jia revealed an extremely horrified expression. In the Heavenly Devil region, the Black Soul sect was a colossus. If the Corpse sect was a first-rate power, then the Black Soul sect was a superpower that was above them. "Elder Jin, why would the Soul sect send someone to the Great Xia Kingdom?" Su Jia asked in a grave tone. "Don't ask about this for now. You'll know why when the time comes." Elder Jin waved his hand, signaling Su Jia to take a few steps back. Su Jia understood and left the room. Buzz. As soon as Su Jia stepped out of the room, Elder Jin fully unleashed his senses and carefully inspected the room. After a while, Elder Jin retracted his perception and stood in front of the eastern wall. "This wall is strange." After pondering for a moment, Elder Jin clenched his right fist and punched the wall. Rumble. Elder Jin's cultivation was at the peak of the manifestation realm. His punch easily blasted a hole in the wall. Found it. The moment the wall was blasted open, Elder Jin was as excited as if he had discovered a new continent. His eyes were fixed on the thing hanging in the gap, and his face was full of joy. Picture scroll? Su Jia followed Elder Jin's line of sight and his gaze landed on a painting. Don't underestimate this scroll. The reason why the higher-ups haven't killed Chu Guang is partly because of his identity and partly because they want this scroll. Elder Jin carefully removed the scroll and explained, "The scroll has its own space. Most importantly, there is a soul tree in the scroll." Soul tree, it's the soul tree. Su Jia was very surprised to learn that Chu Guang was a member of the Black Soul sect. However, Su Jia jumped to his feet after learning that there was a soul tree in the painting. The soul tree was a treasure. In terms of cultivating soul power, the soul tree was a rare treasure. Some people even viewed it as a supreme treasure. One had to know that a soul tree could create many martial artists with heaven-defying soul force. If I'm not wrong, Chu Guang must be in the painting. "Let's go in," Elder Jin said darkly. "Go in? How do we get in?" Su Jia frowned. "Go in like this." Elder Jin leaped up and directly charged towards the painting. The next moment, what Su Jia had expected did not happen. Instead, Elder Jin's body instantly disappeared when he came into contact with the scroll. "I see." Realization dawned on Su Jia. He immediately leaped up and charged toward the painting. Hua! The space within the scroll trembled slightly, and Elder Jin and Su Jia appeared. "This is the space inside the painting?" After entering the scroll, Su Jia looked left and right in shock. "Is that the soul tree?" "No, there's someone under the soul tree." Finally, Su Jia's gaze fell on a towering tree not far away. When Su Jia looked around, he actually saw an acquaintance under the soul tree. "Elder Jin, the person under the soul tree is Ningyu, the one who saved Chu Guang." Su Jia pointed at Ningyu, who was sitting cross-legged under the soul tree, and said in a deep voice, "Let's go and take a look." Elder Jin didn't care about the consequences. He instantly tore through the void and dashed toward the soul tree. Elder Jin and Su Jia appeared in front of Ningyu in a short while. "You guys got here pretty quickly. It wouldn't be right if he didn't welcome them when they were already in front of him." Ningyu got up slowly and said calmly, "I thought you guys would need a long time to find this place. Who would have thought that you guys would find this place in just one day? What a pity." At this point, Ningyu paused for a moment before he continued, "One at the peak of the manifestation realm and the other at the half-step manifestation realm. If you had found me a day ago, I might have surrendered. But now, I'm afraid I'll disappoint you. What nonsense are you talking about? Tell me, where is Chu Guang? Elder Jean scolded. Ning Yu, you're only at the advanced stage of Yin-Yang state. Killing you is as easy as killing an ant for me, Su Jia said coldly. Don't worry, I'll answer your questions slowly. Ning Yu waved his hand. First, I've already killed Chu Guang. Second, I'm not at the advanced stage of Yin-Yang state. I'm at this level. As he spoke, Ning Yu's aura exploded and shot into the sky. Whoosh, whoosh. Ning Yu's aura was so powerful that it caused the air to tremble. Not long ago, Ning Yu had used 1/3 of the Xingyang pills produced by the flower bud and the royal-grade origin crystals in his storage ring to successfully advance to the half-step manifestation state. After advancing to the half-step manifestation state, the density of the origin qi in Ning Yu's body was comparable to that of a peak manifestation state martial artist. Gulp, peak manifestation state. Su Jia couldn't help but swallow when he felt the aura exuding from Ning Yu's body. What peak manifestation state? He's only at the half-step manifestation state. Elder Jin's words woke Su Jia up. How dare you lie to me? You're courting death. Su Jia felt humiliated after being reminded by Elder Jin. He stomped on the ground and rushed out in an instant. At the same time, violent origin qi gathered on his wrist and shot toward Ning Yu's head. In the Corpse Yin sect, although Su Jia wasn't one of the top geniuses, he could still be ranked among the top. Su Jia, who was at the half-step manifestation state, had a comprehensive strength between the peak of the mid-stage manifestation state and the late-stage manifestation state. Su Jia used all his strength in this punch. He wanted to seriously injure or even kill Ning Yu in one move. I'll play with you. Ning Yu's face was devoid of joy or sorrow. Violent Yuan Qi also appeared on his fist as he backhanded his fist and collided with Su Jia's fist. Crack! Ah! In the next moment, a crisp sound accompanied by a pig's squeal resounded in the area. My hand! Su Jia's body retreated several feet and only stabilized himself when he fell to the ground. Puff! After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Su Jia covered his bloody fist and roared hysterically. I'm sorry. Since you're from the Corpse Yin sect, I hit you a little too hard. Ning Yu instantly withdrew his aura and returned to normal. He said, actually, you should feel lucky. If I didn't want to save some origin qi to deal with this old man at the peak of the manifestation state, I could have easily killed you with that palm just now. Right, it was the kind of attack that would leave nothing behind. Puff! Chapter 8:17. Chapter 8:17. A different kind of dead spirit energy. He's only at the half-step manifestation realm, yet he's so strong. Elder Jin was shocked to see Ning Yu easily defeat Su Jia in one move. Even the top 3 geniuses of the Corpse sect could only fight against a warrior at the peak of the manifestation realm when they were at the early stage of the manifestation realm. Ning Yu was able to display the strength of a warrior at the peak of the manifestation realm when he was only at the half-step manifestation realm. Elder Jin, kill Ning Yu for me. Su Jia's roar was heard just when Elder Jin was shocked by Ning Yu's strength. Hearing this, Elder Jin took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, Ning Yu, I'll ask you one last time. Where is Chu Guang? You're really troublesome. Didn't I tell you long ago that I killed Chu Guang? Don't you know what killed means? Ning Yu said impatiently. Jin Juelong, what are you doing? Quickly kill Ning Yu for me. I want to grind his bones to ashes. Su Jia was very angry when he saw that Elder Jin didn't kill Ning Yu right away. He even called Elder Jin by his name. Shut up. Jin Juelong's eyes turned cold as he glared at Su Jia. Then, he said to Su Jia, Chu Guang is from the Soul Sect. Once he notifies the higher-ups of the Soul Sect, it will bring a disaster to the Corpse Sect. Therefore, we must find Chu Guang today. If he's alive, I want to see him. If he's dead, I want to see his corpse. Hearing Jin Juelong's cold words, Su Jia's heart skipped a beat. Jin Juelong was right. The Soul Sect was a colossus. If they were not careful, it would bring disaster to the Corpse Sect. After understanding this layer of relationship, Su Jia no longer made a fuss and obediently stayed where he was. In Su Jia's opinion, it was only a matter of time before Ning Yu was killed. Jin Juelong suppressed his anger and said in a deep voice, Ning Yu, I think you're quite talented. If you hand over Chu Guang, I can leave your corpse intact. Since you have made such a sincere request, it would be too much if I didn't agree to it. Ning Yu shrugged his shoulders and said indifferently, All of you, come out. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. As soon as Ning Yu finished speaking, 4 figures appeared in front of him. The Dark Emperor, Furball, the Silverwing Dragon, and the Twin Horns Beast. The 4 figures that appeared were the Dark Emperor and the others. You're playing with me. The sudden appearance of the Dark Emperor and the others made Jin Juelong's face darken. No, 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 I'm not messing with you. Ning Yu stretched out a finger and shook it. He said indifferently, Chu Guang is trapped by me. I can't hand him over to you right now. As long as you are willing to wait for a few more minutes, I will definitely hand him over. Looks like you won't shed tears until you see your coffin. Since that's the case, I'll have to do it myself. Jin Juelong was furious. He had always been the one toying with others. Who would have thought that he would be toyed with by Ning Yu? Not only was he going to get back at him, but he was also going to turn Ning Yu into ashes. Solitaire. Ning Yu waved his sleeves and the red demon sword appeared in his hand as he looked at the figure that was flying toward him. Ning Yu shouted in a low voice and slashed out a shocking sword wave in the air. Whoosh! The friction between the sword wave and the air created a sizzling sound. Ning Yu's Yuan Qi had reached the pinnacle of the Blessed Realm after he had advanced to the half-step to the Blessed Realm. In addition, Ning Yu had a deeper understanding of the Solitaire. If he used Solitaire again, it would be much more powerful. Small tricks. Jin Juelong had a disdainful look on his face when he saw the huge sword wave that was coming toward him. Jin Juelong grabbed the air with his right hand and a ball of Yuan Qi appeared in his hand. Then, he threw the ball of Yuan Qi at Suemo. At the same time, Jin Juelong said, You want to stop me with just a sword wave? You must be dreaming. What? However, as soon as Jin Juelong said the word dream, his eyes were filled with fear. Whoosh! In the air, the ball of Yuan Qi that Jin Juelong had thrown out had just touched Ning Yu's sword wave when it made a sizzling sound and quickly dissipated. Seeing that the ball of Yuan Qi that he had thrown out had dissipated, Jin Juelong gritted his teeth and rushed forward. Humph! I want to see what you can do. Jin Juelong snorted coldly and suddenly sped up. Jin Juelong's fist contained an extremely terrifying fluctuation of Yuan Qi. There was even a thick layer of Yin Qi on his fist. Almost every martial artist of the Corpse Sect had more or less Yin Qi on them. Of course, some of the higher-ups of the Corpse Sect even had a higher level of Yin Qi. Dead Qi. The Yin Qi on Jin Juelong's fist was not Yin Qi, but Dead Qi. The Dead Qi was extremely corrosive. Ordinary martial artists would be completely corroded if they came in contact with it. Now, the Dead Qi on Jin Juelong's fist could even make a martial artist at the peak of the Fate Realm tremble in fear. Dead Qi. Ning Yu took a deep breath as he sensed the terrifying Qi in Jin Juelong's fist. His eyes were filled with seriousness. Ning Yu had seen Dead Qi before. However, the Dead Qi that Ning Yu had encountered before was not as powerful as the Yin Qi in front of him. Old bastard, I advise you to stop. Otherwise, I will kill this guy. Just when Jin Juelong's fist was 1 meter away from Ning Yu, the Dark Emperor's voice suddenly sounded. Hearing the Dark Emperor's words, Jin Juelong said without turning his head, That piece of trash is dead. When I get rid of Ning Yu, it will be time for you guys to die. Jin Juelong, you old bastard. Jin Juelong's voice made Su Jia reveal a look of despair. However, before Su Jia could say anything, he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and his breath dropped. Crack! The Dark Emperor raised his front claw and swept it towards Su Jia's neck. A crisp sound was heard. Su Jia's neck was broken on the spot. Ningyu, I gave you a chance, but you didn't know how to cherish it. You can't blame me for this. Jin Juelong seemed to be able to see Ningyu's miserable state after his death. He said gloomily, Don't worry. Even if you die, I have a way to find out where Chu Guang is. The corpse sect has always been good at getting secrets from dead people. Is that so? The corner of Ningyu's mouth rose. He said lightly, Are you so sure that you can kill me with one punch? Jin Juelong frowned and said, I forgot to tell you. I have been in seclusion for a few days to practice a martial skill. You should feel honored. You are the first martial artist I have killed after practicing this martial skill. Life and death palm. Ningyu was too lazy to talk nonsense with Jin Juelong. His right fist turned into a palm and collided with Jin Juelong's fist. Hiss. As soon as his palm and Jin Juelong's fist collided, Ningyu took a deep breath. Chapter 8:18. Golden Soul Thrust. Hongemo, do you have a way to deal with this dead spirit chi? Ningyu endured the pain from his palm and hurriedly communicated with the Red Fiend. No problem. The Red Demon Sword is a royal rank flying sword. It's perfect for suppressing the dead spirit chi. However, once you use the Red Demon Sword to suppress the dead spirit chi, you won't be able to use the Red Demon Sword for a very long time, explained the Red Demon. As long as Jin Juelong doesn't have dead spirit chi, I can still kill him without using the Red Demon Sword. Oh right, after you trap the dead spirit chi, find a chance to sneak attack Jin Juelong. Ningyu displayed great confidence. After advancing to the half-step manifestation realm, Ningyu's strength had increased tremendously. Even though Jin Juelong was one of the top warriors at the peak of the Fate realm, Ningyu was still confident that he could fight against him and even kill him. However, Ningyu was not a hothead. Even though he was confident in his own strength, he still warned Hongemo to sneak an attack on Jin Juelong. Ha ha ha. It looks like I do not need to execute the martial technique that I cultivated in closed-door cultivation. None of the cultivators who came into contact with my death spirit energy could survive for more than 3 minutes. Jin Juelong laughed like a madman and withdrew his fist. After that, Jin Juelong crossed his arms in front of his chest. He floated in the air and said, You only have 3 minutes to live. Hurry up and hand over Chu Guang. If you do that, I might be merciful and let you live a little longer. Jin Juelong, do you really think you can defeat me? Ningyu rubbed his slightly swollen wrist as he walked towards Jin Juelong. As they walked, Ningyu said, Your dead spirit chi might have a good effect on others, but unfortunately, it's useless on me. Chicken feathers are useless? Hee, that's because I haven't used my dead spirit chi yet. Jin Juelong sneered. I will stand here and wait. Let's see when your dead chi will show its power. Ningyu stopped walking. He crossed his arms in front of his chest like Jin Juelong, the ignorant are fearless. Jin Juelong's face darkened. Ningyu's actions showed that he was looking down on him. Since Ningyu looked down on him, why should he waste his breath on Ningyu? After Jin Juelong said that, he started to communicate with the dead spirit chi in Ningyu's body. What the hell is going on? Jin Juelong had just started to connect with the dead spirit chi in Ningyu's body. His eyes were wide open, and his face was full of confusion. Jin Juelong realized that he couldn't communicate with the dead chi in Ningyu's body. In other words, Ningyu had used some unknown method to isolate his connection with the dead spirit chi. Let me tell you what's going on. Ningyu shrugged, took out the red devil sword and said, Your dead spirit chi is all in this flying sword. Impossible. My dead spirit chi is very corrosive. How could a flying sword trap it? Jin Juelong said coldly. An ordinary flying sword is naturally unable to trap your necrochi, but if that flying sword is at the monarch rank, then it ought to be able to trap it. Ningyu spoke indifferently. Royal class flying sword. Jin Juelong's face was full of disbelief. The stronger one was, the more they knew how terrifying a royal class flying sword was. A normal yin-yang realm martial artist couldn't use the power of a royal class flying sword. Even a Fate realm martial artist couldn't use the full power of a royal class flying sword. Only when one reached the honorable realm could he use the power of a royal class flying sword. Only then could he let the world know how terrifying a royal class flying sword was. This is the moment. When Ningyu saw the metal absolute dragon god, he waved his hands and tore the void open. Seeing Ningyu move, the Dark Emperor and the other three also tore open the void and disappeared. Oh no! Jin Juelong was indeed a peak Fate realm martial artist. Not long after Ningyu disappeared, Jin Juelong reacted and quickly retreated. Whoosh! However, Jin Juelong's reaction was too slow. Before he could take a few steps back, Ningyu and the Dark Emperor appeared around him. Boom! 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 5 powerful attacks were launched in a row. Each attack directly hit Jin Juelong's head. Block it! At this critical moment, Jin Juelong's primordial chi rushed out and blocked in front of him. Crack! 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 4 cracking sounds were heard. The first 4 attacks were easily blocked by Jin Juelong. Humph! You want to sneak up on me? Look at yourself in the mirror. Jin Juelong snorted after blocking the 4 attacks. Boom! However, as soon as Jin Juelong snorted, an even more terrifying explosion was heard. Then, Jin Juelong saw the primordial chi shield in front of him was easily split in half. Whoosh! The primordial chi shield was broken, which meant that Jin Juelong was exposed to the attacks of Ningyu and the others. Life and death palm. Ningyu had been waiting for this moment. His palms flashed, and suddenly, a few palm prints separated from his palms and flew towards Jin Juelong. Each of Ningyu's palm prints was huge. Moreover, the palm print also contained terrifying yuan qi undulations and violent soul force undulations. In order to kill Jin Juelong, Ningyu had almost used up all of his energy. Ningyu, do you think you can kill me? I have to say that you are too naive. I didn't want to use that skill, but since you have forced me into this situation, I will have to use it. Jin Juelong scolded. Jin bang. Jin Juelong's legs slightly bent. Before he could finish his words, he felt his body become lighter. It was as if he had been kicked by something. He fell to the other side. Puff. Jin Juelong spat out blood. He clenched his fists and stared at the red figure that had appeared behind Ningyu. Cough, cough, who are you? Jin Juelong coughed and tried to stand up with his hands on the ground. Is it the Soul Tree's spiritual body? You mean him? Ningyu turned around and pointed at the Red Devil. You can't even recognize him. How did you reach the peak of the Fate Realm? You! Jin Juelong's face became even colder after being scolded by Ningyu. Ningyu took out the Red Devil and said, Jin Juelong, I'm not afraid to tell you that the Red Devil is the soul of this royal class flying sword. What? Flying sword spiritual body? This flying sword even has a soul. Jin Juelong was shocked when he heard Ningyu's words. By the way, I destroyed the Soul Tree spiritual body a long time ago. Ningyu continued, as for Chu Guang, I didn't kill him. I just trapped him in this storage ring. Forget it, I don't want to talk nonsense with you. Ningyu's body flashed and appeared in front of Jin Juelong. Bang! Ningyu threw a punch without any fancy move. It landed on Jin Juelong's chest with ease. A muffled sound was heard as Jin Juelong was pushed back a few feet. He landed under the soul tree and stabilized himself. Chapter 819. It's done. Chapter 819. Soul attack, golden soul stab. From the name, I can tell that it's a soul attack. Ningyu wasn't scared by Jin Juelong's words at all. Instead, he teased him. I want to see how powerful your skill is. Humph. Let's see if you can still laugh after I kill you. Jin Juelong snorted and released all of his soul force. Not bad. Your soul force is at the peak of the 7th rank. Not bad. Ningyu was still calm. He looked at Jin Juelong as if he was watching a show. Ningyu, it's your honor to die under my golden soul stab. Jin Juelong released all of his energy and wrapped around his peak 7th rank soul force. He pushed it forward, trying to push it towards Ningyu. Whoosh. However, before Jin Juelong could push out his 7th rank soul force, his pupils shrank and he immediately retreated. Jin Juelong was always slow, so he retreated a lot later. A terrifying suction force came out from the soul tree. Facing this terrifying suction force, Jin Juelong's pupils shrank and his face turned pale. He was desperate. It was no wonder that Jin Juelong was desperate. His trump card was the golden soul stab. He had placed all of his hope on it. Whether he could turn the situation around or leave safely depended on the golden soul stab. But now, before he could use the golden soul stab, a terrifying suction force came out from the soul tree and sucked away all of his peak 7th rank soul force. Jin Juelong, you are really stupid. Ningyu smiled faintly and said, I already told you just now, the soul tree's spiritual body was killed by me, but you still dared to use your soul power under the soul tree. It would be strange if you weren't devoured. My soul force was sucked away by the soul tree and I don't have much energy left. It seems like you will be killed by me. Dark Emperor! With that, Ningyu coldly said, didn't you always say that there was no one from the Corpse-Een sect to kill? Jin Juelong is a peak Fate Realm warrior of the Corpse-Een sect. I will hand him over to you now. You can decide whether to kill him or not. The Dark Emperor let out a strange laugh. He rose from the ground and charged towards the Jin Juelong. The fact that Ningyu had successfully advanced to the half-step manifestation realm after devouring and refining the Xingyang pills was something that the Dark Emperor was extremely frustrated about. One must know that from the first time he laid eyes on Ningyu, the Dark Emperor's cultivation far surpassed Ningyu's. But now, in such a short time, Ningyu's cultivation was already on par with his. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before Ningyu's cultivation was higher than his. My strength isn't as strong as yours, and my cultivation isn't as high as yours either. How am I going to act tough in the future? Therefore, when the Dark Emperor heard that Ningyu was going to give him the Jin Juelong, he immediately rushed out. Ningyu, you can't kill me. I can tell you the cultivation method of the Golden Soul Thrust. Seeing that the Dark Emperor was about to reach him, the Jin Juelong roared. Don't talk nonsense. Ningyu doesn't like your Golden Soul Thrust. The Dark Emperor curled his lips and raised his front claw to slap the Jin Juelong's head. Slap. The Jin Juelong was already severely injured. After being slapped by the Dark Emperor, he fainted. Ningyu, I will find a place to devour him first. I will be back soon. The Dark Emperor grabbed the Jin Juelong and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Looking at the Dark Emperor's back, Ningyu shook his head and said, Harry Ball, find a place to rest first. Once the Dark Emperor is done with the Jin Juelong, we will leave this painting. Hearing this, Harry Ball and the others sat under the soul tree and began to rest. Red Devil, when will the Red Devil sword be able to refine the dead spirit chi inside? Actually, Ningyu didn't really care when they would leave the painting. What Ningyu cared about was when the Red Devil sword would be able to refine the dead spirit chi. After all, as long as the dead spirit chi couldn't be refined, Ningyu wouldn't be able to use the Red Devil sword. Without the Red Devil sword, Ningyu's strength would decrease by at least a few levels. The warriors that he would be facing next would be very strong. Even if his strength decreased by 1 level, he would still be in a situation where he wouldn't be able to break through. In theory, it will take 3 days. The Red Devil replied. In theory, that's too long. Is there a way to refine the dead spirit chi in a few hours or an hour? Ningyu shook his head and said. There is a way, but... The Red Devil said hesitantly. But what? Let's hear it. Ningyu said. It's definitely possible to refine the dead spirit chi in a short period of time, but it will consume all the king-grade origin crystals in the storage ring. The Red Devil said. I don't want to. Ningyu couldn't help but swear. There were hundreds of thousands of king-grade origin crystals in the storage ring. Ningyu would definitely be reluctant to use them all. I'll give you all the king-grade origin crystals in the storage ring. 1 hour. We'll depart in 1 hour and leave the painting. After thinking about it again and again, Ningyu finally decided to give up on the king-grade origin crystals. He could earn more king-grade origin crystals if he ran out of king-grade origin crystals, but his combat strength would decrease. He might even lose his life. Between his life and the king-grade origin crystals, Ningyu still chose his life. Understood. Hong Mo responded. Then his figure flashed and turned into an afterimage as he entered the storage ring. Sigh. Ningyu sighed softly and sat cross-legged under the soul tree like Furball and the rest. The soul tree was very helpful for cultivating soul power. Ningyu definitely wouldn't waste this hour. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. Swoosh. Suddenly, a black figure sped over from afar. Ningyu opened his eyes, and his aura became stronger. Dark Emperor, you devoured a peak manifestation realm martial artist. Why are you still a half-step manifestation realm? Ningyu smiled faintly when he sensed the aura emitted by the Dark Emperor. Do you think heaven-devouring hound can advance so easily? The Dark Emperor rolled his eyes at Ningyu and said, If you devour dozens of martial artists at the peak of the creation realm, I'll help you advance to the creation realm in minutes, and I'll be in the middle stage of the creation realm. Don't. Do you think I'm an honorable realm martial artist with dozens of peak manifestation realm martial artists? Ningyu waved his hand. Swoosh. At this moment, the Red Devil also rushed out of the storage ring. It's good to have king-grade origin crystals. The Red Devil handed the Red Devil sword to Ningyu and said, Done. Of course king-grade origin crystals are good. Ningyu took the Red Devil sword and kept it in his arms. Then, Ningyu's body gradually became illusory and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The Dark Emperor and the rest followed closely behind Ningyu and left the painting together. Whoosh! Inside the room, several figures appeared one after another. Silver-winged dragon, twin-horned beast, furball, Dark Emperor, the 4 of you go hide in the storage ring. Come out when I arrive at the Corpse Dragon Mountain Range. Ningyu kept the painting and threw it into the storage ring. Chapter 820. Chapter 820. Foolish, haha, you little shrimps also want to go to the Corpse Dragon Mountain Range? When these words rang out in the room, Ningyu's expression suddenly turned cold. Papa. At the entrance of the room, a young martial artist clapped his hands and stared at Ningyu with interest. However, the young martial artist felt the powerful aura exuding from Ningyu and was slightly shocked. It seems that the information was wrong. You are not at the late yin-yang realm, but at the half-step manifestation realm. Ningyu ignored the young martial artist and shifted his gaze behind the young martial artist. Behind the young martial artist, there were a total of 7 martial artists. 4 at the peak yin-yang realm, 2 at the half-step manifestation realm, and 1 at the early manifestation realm. Although this lineup was strong, compared to Ningyu's side, it was a bit weaker. The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were at the early manifestation realm, while the Dark Emperor and Furball were at the half-step manifestation realm. In comparison, only the young martial artist at the entrance had a slight advantage in terms of cultivation. After all, the young martial artist was at the middle manifestation realm. Humph! To be so calm even at death's door, I admire your courage. Zhuo Yan coldly snorted. The young martial artist was Zhuo Yan, the peerless genius of the Nine Furnace Divine Pavilion's ninth branch. After investigating, Zhuo Yan and the others finally determined Ning Yu's location. They originally thought that they would have to spend some effort to find Ning Yu, but who would have thought that before they even stepped into the room, they would see Ning Yu. This made Zhuo Yan very excited. As long as they could kill Ning Yu, Gu Yuan would definitely be happy. At that time, with Gu Yuan's support, wouldn't they have a smooth journey in the Nine Furnace Divine Pavilion? Wang. Inside the room, Zhuo Yan displayed his anger. In an alley outside the room, a martial artist quietly appeared. If Zhuo Yan and the others were here, they would definitely discover that this martial artist was none other than Song Yi, who had a bad relationship with him. It seems that Zhuo Yan really wants to gain Gu Yuan's trust. The corners of Song Yi's mouth rose as he smiled evilly. Kill. The faster the better. At that time, Gu Yuan's rage will not be a joke. No, I must evacuate King City. Suddenly, Song Yi seemed to have thought of something and muttered, Gu Yuan is rushing over here at full speed. If Gu Yuan's rage spreads to me, then the gains won't make up for the losses. As his voice faded, Song Yi's figure gradually became illusory and finally disappeared. Song Yi's movements were so strange that no one noticed him. Kill. Inside the room, Zhuo Yan didn't want to waste his breath with Ning Yu anymore. He snorted coldly and was the first to charge towards Ning Yu. Voila! Hearing Zhuo Yan's cold words, the 7 cultivators behind him rushed forward. Among them, Cheng Songyong's cultivation was at the early stage of the manifestation realm, and he was up against the silver-winged dragon. The other 2 half-step manifestation realm martial artists faced off against the twin-horned beasts. As for the 4-peak yin-yang realm martial artists, they split into pairs and fought with the Dark Emperor and Furball. He's actually this strong? As soon as Zhuo Yan attacked, Ning Yu could judge that his strength wasn't weak. A middle-stage manifestation realm martial artist was able to erupt with the combat strength of a peak manifestation realm martial artist. This was truly terrifying. As Zhuo Yan rushed towards Ning Yu, he coldly said, Although I don't know how you offended Gu Yuan, I can tell you very clearly that no one in this world can save you. I offended Gu Yuan? Ning Yu was puzzled. Suddenly, Ning Yu's eyebrows rose up, as if he had a sudden realization. You want to help Gu Yuan regain face? It seems that you are also people from the Nine Furnace Divine Pavilion. Ning Yu coldly said, The people of the Nine Furnace Divine Pavilion are all incomparably overbearing. They are only allowed to kill others, but others are not allowed to kill them. Today you will die. Zhuo Yan interrupted Ning Yu's words. His right hand suddenly thrust out, his fist punching towards Ning Yu's head. In order to kill Ning Yu in a single move and not leave behind any future troubles, Zhuo Yan had used 100% of his strength. Zhuo Yan was a peerless genius of the Nine Furnace Divine Pavilion. When he was at the early manifestation realm, he had once fought and killed a peak manifestation realm martial artist. Now that he had advanced to the middle manifestation realm, his strength was incomparably formidable. In Zhuo Yan's opinion, if he used 100% of his strength, Ning Yu definitely wouldn't be able to withstand it. To force me to use my full strength, you can be considered to have died a worthy death. Not good. As if he could already see Ning Yu's miserable state when he was killed, Zhuo Yan sinisterly smiled. However, before Zhuo Yan's sinister laughter fell, his eyes widened and a look of disbelief crossed his face. Bang! With a clear sound, 2 figures rapidly retreated. Zhuo Yan retreated 5 steps before stabilizing himself. On the other hand, Ning Yu only took 3 steps back before he completely stabilized himself. Comparing the two, the difference in superiority was immediately obvious. Impossible! How can your strength be so strong? Zhuo Yan's face darkened. Thinking about it, this was the first time since he had advanced to the middle manifestation realm that he had used 100% of his strength and was still at a disadvantage. Fortunately, his sworn enemy Tsang-I was not here, otherwise wouldn't Tsang-I laugh at him to death. He was at the middle manifestation realm, while the other party was only at the half-step manifestation realm. It could be imagined that once the other party's cultivation rose to the middle manifestation realm and fought him again, it would be an absolutely crushing scene. You have completely angered me. Zhuo Yan took a deep breath, his face revealing an extremely cold expression. Then, the origin energy in Zhuo Yan's body tumbled and gathered in his fist. Zhuo Yan's fist blasted out, once again aiming for Ning Yu's head. From where you fall, you have to climb back up. This was Zhuo Yan's style of doing things, and also his motto. Again? Have you lost your mind? Seeing that Zhuo Yan still wanted to exchange blows with him, Ning Yu's mouth opened slightly, a little dumbfounded. When others could not win using this method, they would immediately change to another method. Zhuo Yan, on the other hand, was stubborn to the end with a single method. Fine, a hothead's performance has saved me a lot of trouble. Looking at Zhuo Yan, who was constantly approaching him, the violent origin energy in Ning Yu's body swept out and similarly wrapped around his fist, colliding with Zhuo Yan's fist. However, Ning Yu was not that kind of hothead. When he and Zhuo Yan both retreated, he immediately drew out the red demon sword and slashed down from the sky with a sword wave. Solitaire! A huge sword wave separated from the red demon's sword and instantly arrived in front of Zhuo Yan. Humph! What can a mere sword wave do to me? Zhuo Yan clearly did not take Ning Yu's solitaire seriously. He raised his right hand, intending to use his arm to block the solitaire. Ah! In the next moment, Zhuo Yan paid the price for his stupidity. The solitaire was extremely powerful and easily chopped off his right arm. Looking down at his bloody arm on the ground, Zhuo Yan stretched out his left hand and pointed at Ning Yu. He even stuttered as he spoke. Why you actually chopped off my arm. I will grind your bones to dust. I'm going to Poochie. Chapter 821. Corrode, it seems that the people from the Nine Cauldron Divine Pavilion are not only arrogant, but also arrogant. Ning Yu shrugged his shoulders and said, At the start they say some bold words, but in the end they are still defeated by my hands. Damn it. The reason you can win is completely because of your trickery. If you have the guts, wait for me to recuperate and we'll fight again. Zhuo Yan gnashed his teeth. Do I look like a fool to you? Ning Yu pointed at his nose and asked. Without waiting for Zhuo Yan to answer, Ning Yu changed the topic and coldly said, You can even say such words. If you're not crazy, then you have brain necrosis. Poochie. Hearing Ning Yu's ridicule, Zhuo Yan couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood, his aura growing weaker and weaker. Ning Yu, as long as you dare to kill me, your friends will also be killed by my companions. Unable to deceive Ning Yu, Zhuo Yan turned his attention to the Dark Emperor and the others. TSK, it seems that my expectations were more optimistic. Not only did you lose your mind, but you also have brain necrosis. Ning Yu smacked his lips and said, You can see whether your companions are stronger or my friends are stronger. Let's see, I don't believe that your friends are strong, fuck. As he spoke, Zhuo Yan shifted his gaze to the other side. It would have been fine if he didn't look, but as soon as he did, Zhuo Yan was dumbfounded. This is impossible, absolutely impossible, absolutely impossible. Zhuo Yan's eyes were dull like a fool as he repeatedly said. In fact, it was no wonder that Zhuo Yan would have such a reaction. Although his companions were peerless geniuses of the Nine Cauldron Divine Pavilion, the Dark Emperor and the others were also freak. When a peerless genius met a freak, and a freak among monsters at that, the result could be imagined. The four peak yin-yang stage martial artists all died in battle. The two half-step manifestation realm martial artists also suffered heavy injuries and were on the verge of death. As for the early manifestation realm Ching Songyong, because his strength was decent, his injuries were relatively light and he could barely stand up. Nothing is impossible. The Dark Emperor stood upright on his hind legs and paced back and forth in the room like a scholar. He began to point out the situation. You have offended us, no one in the world can save you. How about this? The heavens have the virtue of cherishing life. As long as you casually take out a few tens of millions of king-grade origin crystals, I can spare your worthless life. Tens of millions of king-grade origin crystals? Zhuoyan was almost scared to death by the Dark Emperor. Just what sort of concept was tens of millions of royal-grade origin crystals? Even in the nine-furnace divine pavilion, only the high-level figures could take out such a sum. Even if he added up all his assets, it wouldn't amount to that much. There aren't that many king-grade origin crystals? Seeing Zhuoyan's reaction, the Dark Emperor pondered for a moment before continuing. This emperor is more benevolent. It doesn't matter if you don't have royal-grade essence crystals. You can also use royal-grade essence crystals to replace it. Pucci. This time, Zhuoyan was finally unable to restrain himself and spat out a large mouthful of dark red blood once more. What, you don't even have royal-grade origin crystals? The Dark Emperor's face darkened instantly. His aura gushed forth and pressed down on Zhuoyan. If you don't have king-grade origin crystals or royal-grade origin crystals, then why should I keep you alive? I might as well devour you. Then, the Dark Emperor stomped on the ground and pounced at Zhuoyan like a ferocious dog. You can't kill me. Gu Yuan is an honorable realm martial artist. If you kill me, Gu Yuan will not let you off. Zhuoyan shouted in the face of the Dark Emperor that was charging at him. Wait. Ningyu waved his hand, indicating for the Dark Emperor to retreat first. How troublesome. Leave these trash to me. The Dark Emperor stopped with a displeased expression. Then, he waved his front claws and dragged the remaining 7 martial artists away. Ningyu did not stop the Dark Emperor. Instead, he came to Zhuoyan's side and asked indifferently, What's Gu Yuan's cultivation? Gu Yuan is a half-step honorable realm martial artist. However, if he can obtain that giant skeleton in the Corpse Dragon Mountain range, he can easily advance to Grade 1 Human Supreme Realm. Zhuoyan did not dare to hide anything and said hurriedly, Half-step honorable realm martial artist? Hearing this, Ningyu was slightly surprised. Back in the imperial family, Ningyu judged that Gu Yuan's cultivation should be around Grade 1 Human Supreme Realm from his doppelgangers. Now, it seemed that his judgment was a little wrong. However, a half-step honorable realm martial artist was already very powerful. At the very least, for the current Ningyu, only death awaited him. Right? How did you know that there was a giant skeleton in the Corpse Dragon Mountain range? Suddenly, Ningyu asked doubtfully. Logically speaking, the Corpse insect would definitely seal the news of them possessing a giant skeleton. How did everyone know about it? The 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion is very powerful. We have infiltrated many sections. Zhuoyan answered honestly. This time, there are several branches of the 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion that came to snatch the giant skeleton. Currently, it seems that our 9th branch has the greatest advantage. What advantage? Ningyu asked. The greatest advantage is Gu Yuan. He has already touched the threshold of the human supreme realm and is only a step away from advancing to the honorable realm. Comparatively speaking, the leaders of the other branches are slightly worse. They are only ordinary half-step honorable realm martial artists. Zhuoyan continued. Is that so? Ningyu frowned and fell into deep thought. With his current strength, it was indeed not good for him to fight Gu Yuan head-on. The only thing he could do now was to hide and wait for an opportunity to act. However, even if he hid, he would have to enter the Corpse Dragon Mountain range first. After all, the giant skeleton was in the Corpse Dragon Mountain range. AI, it's getting more and more complicated. Corpse Insect, 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion, I wonder who else will participate. Ningyu sighed. Whoosh. However, just as Ningyu was about to speak, his expression changed and he hurriedly retreated. Jie, Ningyu, you dare to be careless against a peerless genius of the 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion? The heavens are really helping me. Zhuoyan sinisterly smiled and rushed towards Ningyu. A thick blue gas appeared on Zhuoyan's only left hand. Although Ningyu didn't know what this blue gas was, he was basically sure that he couldn't touch it with his hand. Stubborn and unchanging. Don't look at Ningyu's shocked expression on the surface, as if he wasn't prepared. But behind his back, Ningyu was constantly paying attention to Zhuoyan's movements. Especially when he saw Zhuoyan's sudden attack, Ningyu retreated while taking out the red demon sword and slashing down from the sky. Gotcha. The same scene appeared again. Only this time, the red demon sword did not cut off Zhuoyan's right arm, but his left arm. A pig-slaughtering scream resounded in the room. Zhuoyan looked down at his arm that had fallen to the ground, his eyes revealing a look of despair. Chi. What made Zhuoyan feel even more despair was yet to come. The blue gas on his arm displayed a violent corrosive ability. In just a second, his left arm was completely corroded. Chapter 822. Are you kidding me? Xiao. Just as the blue gas corroded Zhuoyan's left arm, the Dark Emperor flew in from outside the room. As for the 7 martial artists that were taken away by the Dark Emperor, not a single one was left. The Dark Emperor's aura had increased slightly, but it wasn't very obvious. Ningyu, what's going on? Looking at Zhuoyan, who had lost both his hands, the Dark Emperor asked doubtfully. Nothing much, he just wanted to sneak up on me, Ningyu said lightly. What? Sneak attack? The Dark Emperor's face changed greatly as he berated. I already said that I would kill this trash, but you didn't believe me. Now, this trash actually dared to sneak attack you. Today, let me enforce justice on behalf of the heavens and kill him. Whoosh. After saying that, the Dark Emperor grabbed Zhuoyan's shoulder and flew out of the room again. Everyone, let's rest first. When the Dark Emperor returns, we'll leave Realm King City. Looking at the back of the Dark Emperor, Ningyu waved his hand and was the first to sit down to recuperate. After a huge battle, everyone had expended a lot of energy. They could take advantage of the time when the Dark Emperor went to devour Zhuoyan to recuperate and recover to their peak state as soon as possible. Xiao. The Dark Emperor did not let Ningyu and the others wait for too long. 10 minutes later, the Dark Emperor returned without a hitch. Go! Seeing that the Dark Emperor had returned, Ningyu rushed out of the room. The silver-winged dragon and the 2 horned beasts all transformed into afterimages as they quickly entered the storage ring. The silver-winged dragon and the twin horned beast were larger in size. At this early stage, it was highly likely that they would cause panic. Entering the storage ring was the most correct choice. As for Furball, for the first time, it didn't pester Ningyu. Instead, it entered the storage ring with the silver-winged dragon and the others. F***ck, I just got back and you guys are leaving? That's not nice of you. Seeing Ningyu leave, the Dark Emperor revealed an awkward expression. He then stomped on the ground and chased after Ningyu. Sha. On the streets of Realm King City. The 2 figures were extremely fast, one in front and one behind, disappearing in the blink of an eye. What's going on? I think I saw a man and a beast? What man and beast? To be precise, it should be a man and a dog. That's right, and it's a black dog. Ningyu and the Dark Emperor were very fast. They were so fast that when they reached the streets of Realm King City, few people could see their appearances clearly. 3 minutes later, Ningyu and the Dark Emperor stopped at the city gates of Realm King City. The reason why Ningyu and the Dark Emperor stopped was not because they had something to do, but because the city gates of the Realm King City were tightly shut, and there were 2 guards guarding the city gates. Most importantly, the 2 guards had very high cultivations. Later stage of the Blessed Realm. It might be difficult for outsiders to determine the guards' true cultivation bases, but Ningyu knew very well that the 2 guards were in the later stage of Blessed Realm. There was even a martial artist at the peak of the Manifestation Realm on the city gate tower. What happened? Is there a need to send a martial artist in the later stage of the Manifestation Realm to guard the city gate? If Ningyu could determine the true cultivation of the guard, the Dark Emperor would naturally be able to as well. The Dark Emperor was very puzzled. Nothing big had happened recently, so why would they send people to guard the city gate? Nothing big happened yet? Ningyu's face was full of black lines. Corpse Sex Jinjuelong, Qingqi, Su Jia, and Qiu Jian were all killed by us. Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, "Moreover, the soul tree that the corpse sect yearned for was also obtained by us. Do you think the corpse sect will seal the city gate?" "If that's the case, it's possible." The Dark Emperor nodded. "It's not just possible, it's 100% possible." Ningyu continued. "If there is no big accident, the other experts of the corpse sect must be carefully investigating the Realm King City. Their target is definitely us." Don't, Ningyu, the corpse sect's target is you. The main force that killed Jinjuelong and the others is you. Don't drag me into this. The Dark Emperor slightly moved away from Ningyu and said, "You're very strong. In my opinion, you should lead the way and blast open the gate of the Realm King City. Then we'll go to the Great Hill Royal City." "Idiot." Ningyu rolled his eyes at the Dark Emperor and immediately turned into an alley. The Dark Emperor stood in place and didn't go in. After a while, Ningyu came out of the alley. "What the hell? You are Ningyu?" Seeing the stranger in front of him, the Dark Emperor was surprised. "Don't talk nonsense. If you don't want to be exposed, quickly enter the storage ring and let's sneak out." After saying this, Ningyu walked toward the gate of the Realm King City without looking back. It's really a case of a tiger being bullied by a dog. No, it should be a dog being bullied by a tiger. No, it should be an emperor being bullied by a human. Yes, there's nothing wrong with that. The Dark Emperor nodded secretly, then followed Ningyu's instructions and obediently entered the storage ring. You, and you, the 4 of you stay." Just as Ningyu approached the gate, one of the slightly fat guards pointed at the 4 young martial artists and said coldly, "Routine inspection. We are all good people." Among the 4 young martial artists, the peak of the Primal Core stage martial artist said, "Crack." As soon as the peak of the Primal Core stage martial artist said this, his eyes widened and revealed a look of disbelief. "So noisy. Good people my ass. People who talk too much should die." The slightly fat guard grabbed the peak of the Primal Core stage martial artist's neck with his left hand and directly broke it. "I said that it's a routine inspection, but you forced me to kill people. How stupid. We accept the inspection, accept the inspection." Seeing that their leader had been killed, the other 3 martial artists hurriedly said. However, before the other 3 martial artists had finished speaking, they each spat out a large mouthful of blood and fell backward. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of 3 bodies hitting the ground rang out. Instantly, the surroundings were silent. It was so quiet that even breathing could be heard. "You don't take my words seriously? I already told you not to talk so much nonsense, but you still dared to do this. You deserve to be killed." The slightly fat guard kicked the 3 young martial artists to the other side, and his eyes suddenly fell on Ningyu. "You, come over, routine inspection." Ningyu did not speak, but silently walked in front of the slightly fat martial artist. "You are from the Realm King City?" The slightly fat martial artist used his perception to probe Ningyu's body for a while and then asked. "Yes." Ningyu's answer was very simple, and there was only one word to it. Oh, I like this kind of person who speaks so cleanly. The slightly fat martial artist raised an eyebrow and continued, since I am very satisfied with your answers, you don't have to die. Thank you. Ningyu nodded slightly and then walked out of the city gate. Hey, who said you can leave? Seeing that Ningyu was about to leave, the slightly fat martial artist waved his hand, indicating for Ningyu to stop. Ningyu stopped in his tracks, right in the middle of the city gate. Although I said that I don't want you to die, I never said that I would let you go. The slightly fat martial artist thought for a moment, then said in a clear voice. Chapter 8:23. His face darkened. In the storage ring, the Dark Emperor could not help but laugh when he heard the words of the slightly plump warrior. Take off all his clothes? And in front of so many people. How could he even think of such a thing? Needless to say, Ningyu would definitely not do it. You can do a routine check, but isn't it a little too much to ask me to take off my clothes? Ningyu's face was a little gloomy as he stared at the slightly plump warrior. If I'm not wrong, you are not from Realm King City. What right do you have to ask me to take off my clothes? What right do I have? The slightly plump warrior was a little confused. If you were a late-stage creation state cultivator, then it would be understandable for you to say such things. After all, you were strong. The key was that you were only an early-stage primal core cultivator. How dare you be so arrogant? Is he stupid? Didn't he see how the 4 primal core cultivators died? If he's not stupid, then there's something wrong with his brain. Let's not go out lest we get in trouble. Yes, we can't leave Realm King City for the next few days. It won't be too late for us to leave after these guards leave. Some of the warriors who were closer to the city gates retreated. They knew very well that once they angered the slightly plump warrior, the consequences would be unimaginable. He was a fierce person who could easily kill a peak primal core cultivator with one move. His strength was at least of the yin-yang state, or even the peak of the yin-yang state. Kid, I'll show you whether I have the right to ask you to take off your clothes. The slightly plump warrior's expression was cold. After a low growl, he clenched his right fist and rushed straight at Ningyu. The purpose of the slightly plump warrior was clear. It was not to kill Ningyu, but to teach Ningyu a lesson. In order to not kill Ningyu in one move, the slightly plump warrior only used 10% of his strength. In the eyes of the slightly plump warrior, even 10% of his strength was enough to seriously injure Ningyu. Faced with the slightly plump warrior, Ningyu's expression was emotionless. He punched out and collided with the fist of the slightly plump warrior. Bang! The 2 fists collided and a crisp sound rang out. In the end, it was not as the slightly plump cultivator had thought, where Ningyu was heavily injured in one move. Instead, both sides were evenly matched. In fact, strictly speaking, the slightly plump martial artist was at a slight disadvantage. After all, Ningyu did not move from his spot. The slightly plump martial artist took half a step back. Is this all you've got? Ningyu frowned and said hesitantly, those with strength can act tough. You are so weak. What right do you have to act tough here? Ka. Hearing Ningyu's sarcastic words, the slightly plump cultivator clenched his fists so hard that they made cracking sounds. A ferocious look appeared on his face. Shameful, truly shameful. He was a warrior in the advanced stage of the creation stage, and yet he had not been able to gain the upper hand against a warrior in the early primal core stage. How embarrassing! This kid has some ability. Bring him here. Just as the slightly plump cultivator was about to attack a second time, he heard a calm voice from the city tower. Hearing that, the slightly plump cultivator took a deep breath and leaped forward like a cheetah. TSK. This time, the slightly plump cultivator did not dare to act tough anymore. He used 100% of his strength. The slightly plump cultivator was in the advanced stage of the creation stage. His 100% punch caused the surrounding air to disperse. Ningyu, do you need my help? The Dark Emperor laid lazily in his storage ring and asked. Yes, come out and help me defeat him, Ningyu said solemnly. Holy sh*t. The Dark Emperor leaped up, feeling like he had just been f***ed. Isn't this too much? I just said it casually and you actually took it seriously. Actually, Ningyu had given the Dark Emperor a lot of thought before asking him to attack. Ningyu wanted to see if the Dark Emperor's true strength could go against a late-stage creation stage warrior after devouring so many warriors. Sure, one Xingyang pill. The Dark Emperor gritted his teeth and darted out of his storage ring. The Dark Emperor was extremely fast, even faster than the slightly plump cultivator. What the hell? Initially, the slightly plump cultivator was very confident. That was because his 100% strength punch was extremely heaven-defying. However, when the slightly plump cultivator saw a black dog darting out from Ningyu's body, he was completely stunned. Even though he was stunned, the slightly plump cultivator still punched out instinctively and collided with the black dog's front paw. Shing! The Dark Emperor's claws were extremely sharp. The moment it came into contact with the slightly plump cultivator's fist, a layer of skin was torn off. Ah! With his skin torn off, the slightly plump cultivator let out a hysterical scream. Ningyu felt a little incredulous when he saw the Dark Emperor gaining the upper hand with a single move. Not long ago, the Dark Emperor could only fight against mid-stage creation stage warriors. After devouring a few warriors, his strength had increased by leaps and bounds. If this were to continue, the Dark Emperor might not even need to devour dozens of peak creation stage warriors. He only needed to devour 2 or 3 of them to fight against peak creation stage warriors. You must have a death wish. Beside the slightly plump cultivator, the slightly skinny cultivator's eyes widened as he hollered coldly. He rose from the ground and charged towards the Dark Emperor. The slightly skinny cultivator was also at late-stage creation stage, and his overall strength was slightly stronger than the slightly plump cultivator. Bang! He attacked and forced the Dark Emperor back with a single move. Humph! If not for the fact that I've expended too much energy, killing you would have been a piece of cake. The Dark Emperor retreated to Ningyu's side and harumphed coldly. Ningyu's face darkened. What did he mean by expending too much energy? That move of yours just now only tore off the skin on the slightly plump cultivator's hand. You didn't use too much energy. If this is called expending too much energy, I'm afraid you'll have to give it your all in any battle. Dark Emperor, retreat first. Leave this skinny guy to me. Ningyu kicked the Dark Emperor to the other side and immediately grabbed at the void with both hands, creating 2 palm prints in an instant. Life and Death Palm. 2 blood-red palm prints appeared in the air. One of them attacked the slightly skinny cultivator, while the other attacked the slightly plump cultivator. Oh no! Looking at the blood-red palm prints that were coming at him continuously, the slightly plump cultivator hurriedly raised his palm to block. However, the slightly plump cultivator had clearly forgotten that the skin on his hand had already been torn off by the Dark Emperor. Now that he was struck by the blood-red palm print, he let out another tragic cry like a pig being slaughtered. Plop! After the tragic cry, the slightly plump cultivator's body fell straight to the back. Looking at the miserable state of the slightly plump cultivator, the slightly skinny cultivator gritted his teeth and the vitality in his body surged. It wrapped around his wrist and also blasted out a blood-red palm print. Gotcha! However, the blood-red palm print of the slightly skinny cultivator was obviously not on the same level as Ningyu's. Although both were palm prints, the blood-red palm print of Ningyu's attack was several times more powerful than the slightly skinny cultivator's. The cracking sound also proved the power of Ningyu's palm print. Seeing that his palm print had been blasted away, the slightly skinny cultivator bent his legs slightly and a violent vitality appeared on his palm. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.